Yes.
And this is the Wednesday evening, August 9th meeting of the Walpole Conservation Commission. The way we'll work things is the applicant will read through some things, and then the applicant will make a presentation. We'll then go through the board, and if there are any comments or questions from the audience, you'll be acknowledged, and then identify yourself for the record, and use the microphone so that anybody that may be watching online can hear everything that is said, and only one person talk at a time. So, Town of Walpole Notice of Intent, Conservation Commission Public Hearing, of course, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent of Edward Jameson, Allied Recycling Center, Inc., 1901 Main Street, map 48, lot 48, Walpole, Mass., to improve stormwater drainage within the 100-foot buffer zone. Notice of intent, application, and plans are filed with the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing, the above matter will be held in person July 12th, 2023, beginning 7:15 p.m. All interested persons request to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. Let's see, do we have anything new here? This is from the town engineer. He's reviewed the information submitted, offer the following comments. There are a few new construction detail comments at the end of the memo. Other issues that had been brought up before from the detail numbering system, these are on the plans. Acknowledge addition to base flange, prevent flotation for manhole and catch basin details. Also additional dense graded aggregate over the basin membranes. And all appear to be without flotation protection, as the details. A number of other items addressed. Outlet control structure, high and low alarm floats need to be provided. Details for the audible visual alarm. The contact number to call when in failure need to be provided. Detail for the control panel for the pumps need to be provided with the location. If the control panel is inside, the audible visual should be located in exterior location with said notification sign. Recommend the commission require details for equalizer tank and active treatment system when designed as a condition. Existing site maintenance. Recommend the commission require cleaning of existing structures as a condition. The comments. These are new comments. On sheet 4, calls for a detail of concrete swale as 3/8. This detail is for the contact WQ.A. Separate detail for concrete swale needs to be provided. Detail for temporary riser structure is not labeled correctly on sheets 4 and 5. It is 14/10. I recommend this should be shown only on sheet 5. Sheet 4, the label calls for compost sock, detail 8/8. Detail 8 on sheet 8 calls for a fiber roll. Sheet 4 should call for detail 7/8 for southern basin outlet control structure. Sheet 4, pipe run from HS-1 should call out detail 4/8. Sheet 7, the anchor trench detail is shown as detail 1 cross-section DD, FF, and GG. Call for the anchor detail on one side only. It appears it should be on both sides. Revise. Sheet 8 detail appears to be a conflict with riprap D50 as either 4-inch or 6-inch. Clarify. Please view, plan view should label A, B, and C. the town engineer, and you have these information?
I just handed him a copy.
Okay, oh, okay. Okay. So representing the applicant, oh, do we have anything else? Is that it? Looks like that's it. Okay. So representing the applicant, going to come up to the table, please?
Sure.
And speak into the microphone, please.
I can put this over here, I do that. Can you hear me okay?
When you're referring to any plan sheet, just tell us which sheet you were looking at.
Okay, thank you. Again, my name is Daniel Bordeaux from Geosyntec Consultants, from 289 Great Road, Suite 201 in Acton, Massachusetts. I'm representing Allied Recycling, Inc. at 1901 Main Street for proposed stormwater improvements at their recycling facility. So if we could go to sheet, I believe that's the sheet there, yes, thank you. So my colleague Emma Williamson was here at the July hearing to present a brief overview of the project. Since that time, we had met with Landis at the site to review the site conditions, and we did receive the original town engineer's comments that we reviewed and responded to. They were all very helpful comments. We just received the additional new comments that appear to be somewhat minor, related to some of the details, coordination of details on the drawing set. So if I could, I know Emma was not able in the period of time we had last hearing to provide an overview, but if I could just give folks an overview of the project. So the purpose of this project is to treat stormwater runoff from the industrial operations at the recycling facility. So currently there are two existing stormwater basins. You can see on the plan there, on the screen there, in the gray hatch patterns or in the grayed out areas. These are two existing basins. They were installed some time ago when under previous stormwater standards. These two basins are undersized for today's standards in meeting our water quality objectives under the multi-sector general permit. And so we've worked with Allied and DEP and to develop a really robust stormwater management system here. So this involves reconfiguration of the two existing basins. So we're going to expand the basins, increase their depth so they have more treatment capacity. And we are installing outlet structures in each of the basins that will be equipped with pumping facilities. And the pumping facilities will pump stormwater from the basin to the southwest corner of the site, where we are proposing an active treatment system. The active treatment system is not being designed by Geosyntec. That's being done by basically a manufacturer of these systems. They're out of Washington State. And the active treatment system will basically treat the water through a combination of coagulation, filtration, sand filtration, and then granular activated carbon. So it'll go through a series of vessels to be treated before being discharged to the adjacent wetland area. The stormwater network that's existing now will largely remain, and what I mean by that is there's some catch basins and storm drains that capture runoff and drain into each of the basins. The southern basin, which is kind of the long linear rectangle on the bottom of the screen there, that will also have some drainage improvements in the site. So those are going to include a large catch basin structure, which will capture the runoff from a large portion of the site. And actually, that's a water quality unit, so the water will come in, and you're probably familiar with like a septic tank, and this is for stormwater. So the water comes in and gets treated through sedimentation and then treats for floatables as well. and then that will go into the inlet of the sedimentation basin or the stormwater basin. And we put another pre-treatment device there that's really intended to capture a lot of the sediment and allow Allied to maintain that area effectively. So it's a very robust system. It's not one that that you typically see in Massachusetts, but given the nature of the activities in this industry, we do see active treatment systems at other industrial facilities, but it's not common for routine stormwater treatment like you'd see from a parking lot or something like that, is what I meant. So the active treatment system is very robust. The manufacturer who is producing the system has several of these facilities through Massachusetts that are used at other industrial sites. They achieve very, very good water quality and are assured that this treatment system will consistently meet the multi-sector general permit stormwater benchmarks that are monitored quarterly and reported to EPA at the site. So all of the work is being done within existing disturbed areas. There's no work actually within the wetland itself, although we do have outfall 3, which is a small pipe going adjacent to the wetland, which is shown on the plans there from the active treatment system. But all of the work is within the existing developed portion of the site, including really focused on the 2 existing basins. Now, I didn't mention, but the basins, when they're excavated out, I mentioned they're going to be larger in size and deeper. The basins will be lined with an impermeable liner and covered with dense graded aggregate to protect the liner from maintenance activities. We did include, as I mentioned, we've addressed the town engineer's comments that were previously provided and have included an erosion sediment control plan within this drawing set and the associated details, and have added some detail onto the pump system, the alarms and contact information that he had mentioned. So we do have the additional comments that we received here this evening. Again, I think they appear to be fairly minor and really editorial in making sure that the numbers of the details on the plan sheets match the numbers of the details on the detail sheets. So I guess I'll pause there for any questions that the commission may have regarding the stormwater management system.
Okay. Landis?
So I did contact them, went out and did a site visit to kind of get an idea. I hadn't been there for a while, I'd been there in the past a couple times. And site's definitely in need of additional stormwater management, just regular stormwater management in addition to this finer water quality component that's going in, which seems very, very impressive, the way they're doing it. I would suggest just really quickly, if you want to take the mic and walk up here and just go through the treatment chain.
Sure.
Because from the plan, it's a little difficult to go through it, but just there's a lot of pre-treatment and then going to the smaller basin and to the larger basin. And you want to just run through that so that the commissioners completely understand.
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to. Can folks see this okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. So as I mentioned, there's 2 basins. There's a north basin and a south basin. I'll start with the north basin here. Currently, there is a series of catch basins and storm drains that collect runoff from the site and convey those flows into the existing north basin. The existing north basin discharges through an outlet pipe to a swale that drains along the entrance road into 2 culverts that connect the wetland on the east of the entrance to the wetland on the west of the entrance and then drains down. We're not changing any of the drainage configuration from the north basin. Those catch basins and pipes are going to remain. really what we're doing here is we're expanding this basin, as I discussed, adding in an outlet structure. That outlet structure will then pump water through a force main to the active treatment system area. There is an equalization tank that will receive water from both basins to allow constant flow into the active treatment system. But that kind of summarizes the North Basin. The South Basin is similar. There's less infrastructure currently draining to the South Basin. Most of it drains via overland flow around the driveways and through the buildings to the South Basin. We're improving that by introducing some catch basin structures, and those will be connected into the South Basin. This catch basin structure here is the water quality unit that I discussed earlier. It captures a large portion of the industrial area here that drains overland, like sheet flow, down and will be captured in this structure here. This structure will provide some pretreatment. We then have a hydrodynamic separator to provide additional pretreatment. That drains down into the inlet of the new or the expanded South Basin. This unit here will also provide settling and sedimentation. And then that will drain into the basin. It has a nice long linear flow path to the outlet structure. That outlet structure with the pump will then pump the water through a second force main to that equalization tank. That will then, the equalization tank then feeds into the active treatment system. The active treatment system looks like a construction trail or a Connex box, like a Connex box, if you're familiar with that. And so all of the equipment is going to be housed in there. There are a few additional tanks and vessels, like the sand filtration and the granular activated carbon vessels, that will treat and polish the water. Those will be located on a concrete pad in this area of the active treatment system. Don't think I'm missing anything there. We did add the pump controls and alarms on each of the basin in an accessible, visible location. And really, whenever you think of stormwater management, you're always considering maintenance, right? If the things don't get maintained, they're not going to work properly. Allied's been doing a great job with their permit requirements to do, over and above the permit requirements, to do a lot of the maintenance to the existing structures. These structures will allow easy maintenance as well, such as this pretreatment structure. They're able to actually drive into that to clean out the sediment. So we work closely with Allied to make sure that the maintenance requirements for this system is something that they're comfortable with and capable of. And then the active treatment system is kind of another level of operation and maintenance. The manufacturer here works closely with the client or the customer to develop an O&M plan. They come out from Washington, they start up the system. They'll work with Allied to on a training program to get them familiar with the unit. And then there's a combination of operation and maintenance for that active treatment system. Most of it relies on Allied and their team swapping out different media and so forth, and checking pumps and fairly straightforward maintenance activities. And then if and when there's more substantial maintenance, the Water Tectonics group comes out and they have teams around the country that come out and maintain the more the higher level maintenance on the units. We do show here an area that's labeled approximate limits of future wetland restoration area C. I just want to note that we added a note here. That's not part of this project. That'll be part of a future project where that will eventually need to be evaluated. But this is here for just clarifying purposes. So just to illustrate that the proposed system, the proposed stormwater system won't impact that in the future. And we've been really working with DEP on the stormwater components. They've been heavily involved, so there's been quite a bit of back and forth with the various project players. So I think that's everything. There's other questions. Sure.
Yeah, that sounds good, and I had asked for a summary of the changes from the last plan, which everyone has in their packet.
Anything else?
Yeah, I think it's, seems to be a well thought out, well detailed stormwater plan.
Okay. Dean?
No questions.
Okay, thank you.
Bailey?
Curiosity, who's the manufacturer?
Yeah, Water Tectonics out of Washington State. Yep,
Thank you, that's all.
thank you.
Any else?
Who will be trained? There will be responsible parties listed to contact in case there's an issue at the
Ye-
company?
Yeah, so Water Tectonics has a team of O&M, like an O&M team, that if there are any questions that Allied has, they have resources to reach out to. And I should mention, a lot of the active treatment system is set up so that Allied and Water Tectonics can actually, they can log into the system and see how it's performing. So it's an online system, so they can visually see if there's any, trends that would need to be addressed.
But there'll be someone at Allied assigned, like whoever is responsible for it?
Yes.
Okay, that
Yep.
Landis needs to contact, for instance, okay.
Yep. Yeah, there's a specific PM at Allied at Jameson who's going to be kind of responsible for the operations of this.
That's all I got.
Al?
I'd like to know who the manufacturer of the water quality unit in the top part of the chain there, yeah.
This here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this particular unit we've used in the past is from Shea Concrete. It's a precast structure that has a series of baffles in it.
And the precast structure, but what's going on inside? I don't know that brand.
Oh, this pretreatment, the water quality unit is it really is just a precast structure. So the water comes in, the first chamber allows, there's a baffle underneath, so it would capture floatables. And then the second chamber allows for sedimentation, and then the water would discharge from that out the outlet. So it's really just like a septic tank, really. But Shea Concrete makes that, and then there are other precasters that fabricate something similar as well.
Okay, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
I had a few specific questions. I think we heard last meeting that copper was the major metal coming out. And is there anything else, like petroleum products also coming off the site? What are going to be the floatables?
If you had floatables, common floatables in stormwater runoff might be, you might have trash or debris that might be floatables.
But not petroleum.
No, mostly this system here is focused on metal treatment, but it does have granular activated carbon, which would treat, any combination of that if they were present in the stormwater.
So right now, all the gigantic piles of metal are just sitting on the ground and not on concrete slabs?
No, the big pile of metal that you would see kind of coming in is all on a big tipping pad, that concrete pad, and that concrete pad primarily drains down to where this unit's going to be going.
Okay, I guess one of the things I was thinking, maybe this solves it. It sounded like closing the barn door after the horse is gone. In other words, if metal's coming off of your pad,
Yeah.
stop it from coming off your pad or something?
Yeah, I think, we work on a lot of scrap metal yards. It's the nature of the material when you get precipitation on the metals, you get some in the runoff. And so even, if you look at urban runoff from highways, impervious area, there's a combination of metals in there. Actually, for the goals that we're trying to achieve at the outlet of the active treatment system are very low. So it requires a system like this. But then the other metal treatment area that's over here is all also on concrete. That concrete drains to this existing storm drain system over here that goes to the North Basin.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
That's it.
Your treatment unit, is that included in your operation manual? Is there an agreement between the manufacturer and Allied that they will maintain this on whatever they can't do locally, that there will be a regularly scheduled maintenance?
Yeah, so we did, in our operation maintenance plan, the draft operation maintenance plan, we revised that based on the town engineer's comments, and we included the water tectonics O&M plan for the active treatment system. That active treatment system O&M plan may adjust a little bit as they finalize the fabrication of the system, and we can certainly provide, a copy of that final version to you once that is available. But yes, there is a contract in place between Allied and Water Tectonics that goes through fabrication, startup, and O&M. So it's part of the structure of the agreement.
Okay, I would think that we would want, bless you,
Bless you.
a continuing condition regarding that maintenance plan, that they maintain contact with the manufacturer, between Allied and the manufacturer, so that whatever level of maintenance is required between locally and from the manufacturer is continued, so it doesn't get dropped at some point in time for whatever reason.
Yeah, I know, I can say Allied's investing a substantial investment in this active treatment system. So I know from conversations with the group that, I don't think that would be a problem, because there's a commitment to making this successful.
Just looking down the road to make sure that
Yes.
is properly maintained and there isn't, for whatever reason, might be, the Allied might discontinue it or the manufacturer might for whatever reason.
Yep, yep,
But there is something that will continue
yep.
one way or the other. Okay.
Are you filing a SWEP for this construction?
We are less than 1 acre, yeah.
Okay. I don't see, I'm looking at the reduced area plan here, that anything identifies the 25-foot no disturb area from the wetlands? Is there some indication or demarcation of that?
Yes, we do have the 25-foot no disturb area on the drawings here. There's two, I believe we have two buffer zones on here. We have the 25 and then the 100-year. 25-foot no alteration boundary and 100-foot buffer zone. So
Okay.
it might be easier if I show you on this. Those small plans are so hard to see. So over here is easy.
Right,
The
that's on that
25 foot
side.
and then the 100.
Right.
So you can see that continues here and here.
Okay, now what about along here, is to keep anything, I don't know how much, this looks a little tight there, but it's already existing, so.
It's existing, right? Yeah, yep.
But, so we don't get any additional encroachment on the wetland line between these structures. Is there some way to, that you can indicate that as a no disturb area?
Yeah, that's a good question. We did add in, on the erosion sediment control plan, we added in, we changed the silt fence to fiber roll, or silt sock, and we added in an orange construction fence along that line, so it would kind of demarcate that area that I think that you're referring to.
Permanently after construction, that
Oh.
that would be indicated so that there is not encroachment in the future?
I see, like permanent demarcation of the 25, okay, yep. Like, do you typically use condition like a wood stake or something like that?
Granite or concrete markers
Okay,
and plaques. We have a plaque that we have the wording for.
okay,
But just so that it doesn't grow outward from where it is now. What's existing probably is less than 25 feet, but we don't want it to get any more.
Yes,
There are a couple of areas there that look like it's tighter, but that's, there, it's already
So I think
existing.
it's already old.
yeah, the existing basin does encroach in the 25-foot, yep.
So we don't want any more encroachment on that,
Right,
in that
right.
direction. So if you could
Okay,
put those plaques on both wetland areas there. The one up by the north, and then the one all along the south,
right, right.
just so it doesn't grow.
Is that a modification to the plan, or is that can that be a condition? And I guess why I'm asking that is because one of the things we're working with right now is a pretty rigorous schedule with DEP to get this into
It could show up as a revision.
Okay, and similarly, like to the engineer's comments, would we be able to?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, okay,
I talked to him, and he agreed they're just sort of construction level plan details that he'd like to see on the plan.
okay, okay, great. Yeah, thank you. That very helpful.
Okay. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Please identify yourself for the record and use the microphone up to the table if you have any questions. Yes. The microphone, sir? Come up to the microphone. There's a chair right in front of you. Sit there and use that.
Just a quick question. Are these areas enclosed to precipitation?
The two stormwater basins are exposed to precipitation, meaning they're an open basin. The active treatment system here is all contained, so that wouldn't be exposed to precipitation. I can bring this over if you'd like to.
No, that's all right. I think I
Okay.
can see it from here. The lines in there, are those basically contour lines on the two basins? See a series of lines.
Yes, this shows the grading lines of the expanded and basins, yep.
Excuse me, sir. Please identify yourself for the record.
Yes, I'm Robert Adler. I live at 13 Joel Avenue in Walpole.
Thank you. Anything else?
The wetland area is where?
The green area here.
Okay. And that was delineated by both natural vegetation and test pits? Soil?
Yeah, so Lucas Environmental completed the wetland delineation using the Army Corps method that's required in the Mass DEP Wetlands Act, yep. Yep, thank you.
Anyone else have any question or comment? Okay. I think we could close the hearing. Someone make that a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
600. Okay, the order, you had some,
Yeah, so we
issues.
just want the revisions of, based on the town engineer's comments and the plaques that you mentioned tonight. I wanted to put it, if possible, I don't know with the weather we've been having to have, that the construction shall be planned during dry season of the year if possible. Which I'm not sure when that is these days. Maybe not this year. Maybe not this year. Maybe we'll go back into drought again next year, so.
Yeah, we are under a schedule to get this installed and operational by the end of the year, and we're trying to schedule it so that the startup of the active treatment system doesn't happen in December when it's getting cold and freezing conditions, so, we do recommend in the erosion sediment control manual, and I think Allied is of the opinion that the contractor, when they're doing the work, will target, dry periods to do the basin work. And, that's really from my perspective, that's really where where that would be important. The the drainage network and those sort of things, maybe not so much.
Right, yeah, I was thinking about the basin, and
Yeah.
just, you had talked earlier about temporary stormwater control, they should use temporary basins if need be, so that the water is funneled into temporary basins. Then the operation and maintenance log shall be provided to the Conservation Commission each year. And a pre-construction meeting shall be held with the conservation agent, site contractor, and site manager prior to beginning construction. I'd just like to sit down with the people involved and we go over the conditions. And then, Jack, you wanted the final copy of the O and M to be provided with a continued condition that the contact be provided to the commission.
That the maintenance be continued as a continuing condition, proper maintenance according to the manufacturer, between Allied and the manufacturer,
Right.
that is an ongoing operation.
Right, ongoing O and M,
Yeah.
operation.
And that they maintain that contact so that it is properly maintained over a period of time, long period of time.
Yep.
Excuse me, Jack,
Anything
you
else?
mentioned plaques, where and how
Oh.
many?
Yeah, okay, if you want to look, we probably ought to have some plaques. Is there any activity on the, would it be the east side of this wetland? Is that their property?
No activity over here.
Okay. So along here, so it doesn't encroach any further.
Along this boundary.
Yeah,
basin.
so they're gonna have to, probably less than 25 feet in some of
Yeah.
this area. So just on the edge, however many feet you can get along here.
Okay,
Okay.
do we want to reference the wetland flags in the condition, or do we need to be that specific or not?
No,
Okay.
no, just if you would put a plaque at the corner up there, and
Yeah.
at that corner, and one in the middle.
Okay, yep, 3 along this location.
Right, and then down along here, the same thing, starting at this end.
Okay, yep,
We want a 25-foot, wherever we can get 25 feet, and come, probably one here, one around here, next,
yeah,
next
I
point.
see, yep.
all right? Then,
Right at the corner of the basin here.
then someplace, yeah, and along
Yeah,
in here,
along-
and then at the narrow point,
Yep, yep,
right? And then out this way, someplace. 'Cause
okay,
Probably a little past the, yeah, in
Right
that.
somewhere in
yeah,
here.
Yeah.
okay,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah, so just mark them on the plan, and then we'll give you the write-up, and then it go on a concrete.
Okay,
I have a
Marker.
detail I can send you.
okay,
What
so
you want.
I think what I'm understanding is we can close the hearing tonight with a condition.
They already
that-
closed it, you're
Oh,
working
closed
on
it,
the
yeah, thank
conditions, so.
So we'll address the engineer's comments, add these markers. and
Usually what we
submit
do
the-
is they close the hearing, we issue the condition, and then any outstanding revisions, we like to get before we actually send out the order of conditions.
Okay.
If you can
got it.
get them back that close to me,
Yeah, we can.
great,
Yeah.
that would be great, so
Okay.
that's the way we like to do it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
So now
So,
we just have to-
anything else for the order? Anybody? Okay, so we make that a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
600, good, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't have a plan for this next one. It's in here.
You're last?
I think. Oh, you're right, okay, good, got it.
Oh, it's not yours.
What do you need?
They go out of themselves. Well, it's behind the big rock thing, right? Big rock out? Okay. Your big one is down the road here.
Going for Pemberton.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's right, this is not, this is,
Yes.
Changes, okay.
Not get plans in time or something?
You're not listed yet.
I'm not listed.
This is John's.
Oh, I was just gonna make changes. Spell my name again.
You got it right here.
Don't worry about it.
You got it right here.
Next hearing.
They have a
Don't worry about it. Knuckle. Knuckle right here.
Okay.
Here it is. Press.
Public hearing notice, Town of Walpole, Conservation Commission notice of intent. Quiet, please. Thank you. Conservation Commission notice of intent in accordance with Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent J. Walsh Corporation of Lot A, Pemberton Street, map 17, lot 240, Walpole, Mass., to construct a single-family dwelling with municipal water and sewer within the 100-foot buffer zone. Notice of intent, application, and plans are on file at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person on August 9th, 2023, beginning 7:05 PM. All interested person requests to be present. And 11 to read in here.
No, we didn't get any comments.
No comments from, to be read in, okay. So, representing the applicant,
Rob Truax from GLM Engineering Consultants, representing J. Walsh Corporation. So this is a single-family lot located on Pemberton Street. It's pretty much across from Beaverbrook Lane. It's a parcel of land called Lot A. It's a 48,000 plus or minus square foot lot. It was carved off of the existing house on Pemberton, which is to the right of this lot, looking at it from the street. They did an A&R plan with the planning board. They created two lots from the existing house. This is the second lot, which was vacant. We were the engineers to go out and do the topography and flag the wetlands. We did not do the A&R survey. So what we discovered was there's an isolated wetland located centrally within the lot, primarily on the adjacent lot, which is the existing home, with a portion of it on Lot A, as you can see on the board. It's colored up. This is being the isolated wetland area. So it's isolated. It doesn't, if it was to flow and overflow, it would overflow in the direction to the north through the site, down through this area here, in the back of the lot. We're not proposing anything on the rear of the lot at this time. The proposal is to build a single-family house up on the Pemberton side of the site. We've indicated the 25-foot buffer from the isolated wetland. Just to point out, this is an isolated wetland. We only filed this under the local bylaw. We did not file under the DEP because it is isolated, and it's only protected under your local bylaw, just to put that out there. So we've been out to the site. We did a topo survey. We flagged the wetlands. Joyce Hastings from our office went out and did the flagging. We are proposing a single-family house. I have been out to the site with the town engineer. I dug 2 test holes on the site for the drainage system. I have one in the rear of the property here, and I have one up in the front here. We did not hit groundwater when we dug the holes. We got down approximately 10 feet. We had some good gravel in the area, so it was conducive to provide recharge for the roof runoff. So we are collecting all the roof runoff from the house, directing it to those recharge systems. There's one in the front right side, and then one in the left rear. We're showing a deck and a porch off the back. The house will be sitting on the street. The garage is on the left-hand side, coming on the front. There is a walkout basement that'll go towards the wetland area, so reduce the grading around this side of the house. We're kind of matching up to the existing grade on this back corner with the basement level, and then obviously the front level will be higher. So the lot slopes from front to the, it basically slopes from Pemberton Street towards the wetland area, and from the homes along Kennedy Lane towards the wetland area, and then another high point in the back. So the wetland area is the low point on the site, and everything else kind of directs towards it from Pemberton Street and from the portion along Kennedy Lane. We are tying into town sewer. There's a sewer manhole out in front of the site, and we are tying into town water. pretty straightforward. Other than that, we do maintain the 25-foot buffer, the no disturb buffer. We are within the 100-foot buffer. The entire house is within the 100-foot. We did look at options for this lot. We, at one point in time, had looked at putting the lot in the rear of the site. For the applicant, the issue with that was it was a long driveway, and at the end of the day, it was going to do more disturbance within the buffer zones and around the wetland area, and more impervious coverage to get the driveway back there. It was some, probably 400 feet of driveway to get it out to the rear. So we went back and we looked at it again, and we basically got the house right up on the setback from the street within a foot, and we got it tucked over on the left side as well. So we've kind of squeezed it up on the front of the lot. We do show some clearing behind the house to give them a rear yard area. We didn't take it that much further back than what you see, so that's the limit of work we're showing with the silt barrier. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. Other than that, it is a large lot, and we're just trying to keep everything towards the street at this time.
Okay. Landon?
So I went out to the site yesterday in between torrential rain. It was sunny, and I drove out to take a look, and then it poured. And so I drove around, and then the sun came out again, and I drove back and
Ran into the woods.
ran into the woods. Reviewed the portion of the wetlands line on the lot, and I didn't see any standing water in that area,
You didn't,
no.
even after I had the torrential rain. I'm surprised.
But I didn't go all the way into it on the other lot. May
Yeah,
have
I
been
did,
water.
I did notice, I went out there and walked it, and I did notice some area in here
Mm-hmm.
where there was staining.
Yeah,
And it looked like some water may have ponded. I didn't see it near the edge of the wetlands where Joyce was flagging, but I did walk out in the middle. There was some staining of leaves. It did look like something collected there.
someone
But
collects and then discharges out. I did talk to a few of the neighbors, and one of the neighbors expressed just concern with the flow of water towards Joel. This Joel Ave,
well, Joel would be somewhere down in
right on the
here.
other side, yeah.
There's a house, this is the existing house.
Yeah.
And then Joel is on the other side of it.
So I think I already talked to you about maybe tweaking the grading a little bit so that the sheet flow on the lot goes towards the isolated wetlands rather than
Towards the
onto
apartment.
the adjacent lot.
So that would be, so what we would do, Mr. Chairman and board members, is we'd pull this limit of work over to the lot line, and we would grade this out with like a gradual grass swale, and let the water can get to the neighboring lot, and it'll just guide it down towards the isolated wetland. We would put that on a revised plan for you. Don't see an issue with that.
So I think there's a few neighbors here tonight, so after the commission is done, maybe we'll hear what their concerns are, because they may have other concerns. So I think we just want to make sure that obviously we know that you can't fix any problems that may exist out there, but that your design should not increase any of the problems that are out there.
Correct.
So, that's what we want to look at to make sure that this design reflects. Other than that, I didn't really have any other comments. So it looks like the outlay of Pemberton Street is part of this lot, so it's kind of a gravel road down there.
Yeah,
at
just,
the moment.
yes, so if you were to drive down there, the pavement ends right here in
Yeah.
our lot. So this is gravel as it goes down to Kennedy. And the pavement ends at the driveway for the existing house, right after the driveway. And that's where the sewer is buried right here. We're gonna have to find that manhole,
So
but
is
there
that a
isn't.
town, is that still
It's
town?
part of the town road, yeah. It's all accepted
So
and
you're not, so there wouldn't be any improvements to the gravel road because it's still,
we're not
town.
proposing any, correct. We're gonna leave it just the way it is.
Dean?
So Landis, can you educate me here? So they are in the 25-foot buffer, but is it, if it's an isolated wetland, do they have the same, the 25-foot buffer has the same protection as like a flowing wetland? Like a river or? I'm asking about the buffer, so,
What's your question again? So the buffer, so.
no, the 25-foot wetland buffer. So typically we do no alteration plaques, all that jazz.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah,
this
it's
is
the same.
isolated, then does
It would be
that?
the same. The no alteration plaques is really under the local bylaw. This is only bylaw. So, yeah, you could,
Those would still apply then here?
oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's what,
I
whenever.
didn't show any yet. I'll put some on the revised plan. Once I had a chance to talk to Landis, we
Because-
would put them.
Yeah, this is very close to that house, and I'm sure it's gonna be very tempting
I'm
to,
thinking one right off that corner would be a good spot.
very tempting to mow it down, and, oh, I want this nice green grass, probably grow some good grass in that isolated wetland.
It's pretty wooded. It's pretty treed. They'd have to cut trees down
Okay.
to do that. It's treed.
And how much tree clearing are you gonna do? Is this accurate?
Yes.
All right, good, so it's not,
That's what we're proposing, what's shown with the limit of work.
right, so not scorch earth, but,
Yeah, we're not going out in the back.
okay. All right, so as long as we get those no alteration plans. No more questions?
Bailey?
Agree with Dean, no questions.
Medio?
Is the lot fully, is it vegetated, wooded right now?
Yes,
It is, okay. And
it's all wooded.
what's the square footage of the clearing that you'll be doing on the lot?
It's less than half of the lot. It's like under 20,000, just around that number.
Okay.
So the thing is the clearing on the lot, as Landis said, the road's right here. That's the front lot line. The fence is out here. It's very deceiving where Pemberton really is. You know, the road is, the pavement's actually outside the layout on the people across the street's land.
Oh.
Pemberton's all broken up down as you go down the street, so it's, I mean, even the town engineer, when we were out there, we talked about it a little bit. And there's bounds there, up on the property line, you'll see them out in the woods. There's markers, but that's just the way the road was laid out back then.
Okay. All right, no further questions.
Al?
No, I don't have any questions.
Betsy?
So it's the way the road was laid out, not the way the lots were laid out?
Yeah.
Some of these old roads are like that.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, no other questions.
I was curious about the driveway going across the road. Yeah, so we would want some plaques,
I made a note of that.
probably,
So that,
it's all wooded, so I don't know how far back we want
Go to here
to.
at least, where we're working.
Yeah, we want to go back in, past your,
Wanna go back here?
yeah.
Oh, you want to go back on this area?
Yeah, I would run at least one back
Like somewhere
towards,
out here?
towards the, yeah, in that direction, out
I
that
would do
way.
like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, and then you're gonna do some, put a swale in on that, is it the
I'll
southerly
bring the work
border?
area over here, and I'll just show, we'll pull this contours up a little just to create a grass swale, just so it'll be very gradual, so it'll just look like a lawn area rather than a
Right.
real defined swale.
So you'll revise that,
Correct.
the
I
grades
made
there?
that note as well.
Okay, all right. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Please identify yourself for the record and use the microphone. Yes, come up to the microphone here, please.
Hello, my name's Maura Hardiman. I live at 8 Kennedy Lane, which abuts the property. Yes, that's us. So I heard, I'm not sure if I heard you correctly, but you indicated drainage, and I thought you said drainage towards Kennedy Lane?
No.
Okay, tell me more
So,
about the
sure.
drainage,
So
please.
we're gonna put in recharge systems, that's this one and this one, to collect the roof runoff and put it back in the ground.
I don't know, what's that?
So it's an underground system.
Okay,
So it's like your septic system.
Okay.
If you had a septic system.
no,
So it's like a stone trench underground, the water will go in there and infiltrate back into the ground.
okay,
So this whole site slopes down into this wetland, this area slopes down, but then there's like a low area that goes through here. And I've walked it and to look to see if there was, and I think it goes towards these people's backyard. And there's no water flowing through there, and I couldn't see any scouring or anything. So I don't believe this, I mean, Landis was just out there in this torrential downpour, and there was no water in here. So it doesn't appear that this actually sends flow in that direction, but there is a low area through
Didn't see
here.
any flow.
So there is a low area through the site, so this is the lowest area, and then there's like a, if you went out there, you'd see that if there was to be a chance where this was to flood, as a wetland might, it would go down through here. That would be his escape route. I don't know what's on the other side towards Joel Lane, which this gentleman might know better, he lives right there. I've talked to him a few times this week.
Saw you in the woods.
So I don't know what's going on over here as far as elevation goes, because I've just never walked over there. I don't know what goes on. This is where Joel Lane comes up through, the paper street that's not built.
Okay. What about, you talked about clearing some trees? Now, there are all trees back there.
This is all gonna be cleared, so we're clearing behind your house.
How
this-
far?
Almost, this light green area, this is your property line here, roughly speaking, and this is the other one.
So there's a rock wall there? How,
There's a stone wall there.
stone wall, how close would you be to that? The
Yeah,
trees
he-
that are there? You take down those trees?
He's probably gonna take them down right up towards the wall.
So,
Because you can't just leave one straggler.
right.
I mean, he could plant something back there for a buffer, like you could speak to him about that.
And
you know,
who's that person?
He's not here tonight, unfortunately, but they're very responsive. They're good people. They've been in town their whole lives.
Marty, you mind if I reframe that
Jay
question,
Welch.
what you're trying to get to?
Wait, excuse me, sir.
What?
He's with me.
My name is Mike Hardiman. I live at 8 Kennedy Lane. Nice to meet you. So, yeah, we're taking a lot of interest, obviously, in the project. But, you know, I can tell you that everybody on the street there is invested in a lot of technology, some pumps and French drains and things like that over the years, because water, I know, you know, it does, you're saying it's lower than the area up at,
This is low, this is higher
Yeah.
than this. And then you go down a little bit from there.
you'll go downhill from the front of our house, right?
Right.
So, when you're clearing trees, I mean, what sort of mediation or, you know, mitigation are you providing to ensure that it just doesn't create like a free flow of water coming through the backyards of everybody on Kennedy Lane, if any?
Well, the lot, the way it slopes today, and will continue to slope, is away from Kennedy Lane. So this is gonna be the high point on the lot, and it's gonna slope this way. And when it's constructed, it's gonna continue to do the same. So this is the high side of the lot up here. So you'd have to take that whole knoll down. It goes up from 102, and this is down at 90, so this is almost 12 feet, 10 to 12 feet in elevation. So, I mean, he'd have to take your backyard down in order to direct the water towards you. So you have that natural hill there that's gonna buffer any flow from coming in your direction,
Yeah,
fortunately.
investment in French drains and some pumps say it gets there somehow. We think it comes from the backs for sure, not up the hill where Kennedy Lane is. So that's why I was just curious about any mitigation that, you know, from clearing trees, to me, that's just kind of opens the lanes for rainwater to kind of flow into our backyard and our neighbors' yards for that regard. So I know that everybody in that picture gets water in their basement. That's why I was asking the question.
It's interesting, because when I dug the test holes, we couldn't find groundwater, but we're higher than you. With that, I'm up on the knoll, you're down a little bit lower, coming down that towards Kennedy Lane. We are higher than you, so I might not have it up on the high side, but I could see you're down lower, you're probably getting into the water table.
So our point is, with the elimination of the trees, we wanted to make sure that, you know, the trees, the roots absorb the water.
Correct.
Right? So that when you take away the trees, that's our concern.
So,
is that-
like I said, all our runoff, though, is being contained on site. We're doing recharge for the impervious. We're putting it back in the ground, but then the runoff itself, and we're gonna put that added swale in, is all directed to the wetland area, which is away from your property.
And is a swale, what is a swale?
It's just something that direct the water in a direction, a
Okay.
directional flow device, so to speak.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Yes, come up to the microphone, please.
Elizabeth Reed, 6 Kennedy Lane. I live right next door to Maura and Mike. I live in that plot right beside. And we're concerned also about the water. Now, how far are you cutting down the trees in back of six?
We're not coming to your property, we're stopping before you.
Now, I was just walking the property today, and our land after the rock wall and Maura and Mike's drops
Towards your
So-
house.
away from our house. After your land,
It drops this way?
yes.
Okay.
Are they going to be raising that dirt?
No. No, we're not raising the site. We're
Because
just,
there's a definite drop on the
yeah.
other side of our
No, this is
rock
gonna
wall.
continue, it drops this way.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna continue to do that. We're not taking that down, we're not filling that in.
okay. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Anyone else? Yes. Again, please identify yourself for the record again, please.
Hello, I'm Robert Adler. And together with my wife Jeannie, we live at 13 Joel Ave. And I apologize, I didn't hear Miss Hersey's comment about Joel Avenue earlier, having spoken to a neighbor, and what the outcome of that was.
Sure. A neighbor came in and spoke with me, concerned with getting additional flow towards their house. And as Mr. Truax has been describing, the swale,
Yeah.
so that there would be a swale on the, I think it's the southerly side, where he was pointing before, of the property, so that any of the water, the overland flow, right, would be directed towards the isolated wetlands rather than going into the lot of 275 Pemberton and towards Joel Ave. That's the suggestion.
Let me also provide you with the comments, that I'll leave with you, given to Mr. Truax as well.
You want to repeat that again when you get to the microphone, please?
And I'll take notes from those now. And I do appreciate Mr. Truax actually being here and providing us the extra photos, the extra pictures here on the board, and the Conservation Commission for holding a hearing on this. There are principally one issue that we're principally involved with, and you've already heard it. It has to do with flooding in the area, with water drainage in the area. Ms. Truax has addressed it for the Kennedy Lane residents. And understandable that there is a demarcation in between the property and down to Kennedy Lane. There's a higher area along the border with the Kennedy Lane properties, and it then drains towards the isolated wetland and towards Joel Avenue. And there are several residents on Joel Avenue that are raising a concern, particularly around raising groundwater levels in the area. Even if it's only inches. Because of basement flooding in our area, just raising the groundwater level by small amounts might have additional impacts on our properties. And I'm talking about properties pretty much between Pemberton Street and about midway down Joel Avenue. Our concern goes back a number of years. We moved into our house in 1984 on 13 Joel Avenue, and we had 4 inches of water in our basement when we moved in. It was a big surprise to us. We didn't expect it. Nowadays, that would be part of any notification by a realtor to let us know that there is flooding in the basement. So our concern primarily is around the wet years with saturated soils and high groundwater tables. Those are the experiences that we've had for many years where our sump pumps have worked long and hard to avoid this problem with deeper water in our basement. Adding new fill to the area presents some possibility of increasing the groundwater monitoring along the site, and in particular, right around the western part of the site, where there will be additional fill of about 2 to 4 inches in general, of 2 to 4 feet in general, to raise the elevation to 100-foot elevation to 100-foot contour. Our concern with this groundwater elevation rising just a little bit, as I said, is a real concern in a matter of inches. If there's failure of power, our sump pumps go down, basement may be flooded to another 4 or 5 inches, and that would affect some of our utilities in the house as well. And we have seen standing water in the wetland depression in past years. The wetland delineation pretty much roughly follows a 92-foot ground elevation contour. And we appreciate GLM's effort on trying to describe the area and put it down on a plan and give us the contours and the grading as to what would occur at the site. Anecdotally, we have, I guess with Robert, your test pit showed groundwater at about an 88-foot level.
We didn't hit water
Is that what-
table, we were down to 88 elevation, which is about 9 to 10 feet below the surface in this area.
Right.
And we started at elevation 97. We dug down about 9 feet, and we did not hit a water table. We did not see any indication of water tables. I say that by means of, usually we can identify it by groundwater modeling in the soil. We did not see any of that identification in the soil, so there was no reason to think that there was groundwater in the area. And it was gravelly soil, so we did have good infiltration rates looking at it.
And the ground, this is new information for us, so it helps to know that groundwater modeling had been done in that area with the additional fill for the
So-
property.
We
Which
did
raises-
groundwater testing, and we're doing groundwater recharge for the proposed house.
So our interest would be is just to make sure that the assessment has been done to show that there wouldn't be an increase in the groundwater levels significantly in the isolated pond. Because when there is water showing in that isolated wetland, that's pretty much to a 92-foot contour, which is about 1.5 feet, or basically 1.5 feet lower than the basement level of the house. Now, our basements might be lower than that. We don't have an actual elevation for the basements on Joel Avenue. But our level of the basements may actually be lower than that, and that's what might be impacting might be impacted by any increase in groundwater levels at our locations on Joel Ave. That's our concern, and
Maybe
we,
Mr. Truax can just also explain, so this is a walkout, so.
Correct.
you
We're not
know,
intercepting the
basement
water.
below, how much lower are you going from the 93 contour, which is the walkout?
So the basement level is at elevation 93.5. The edge of that wetland, which is this contour here, coming around, is at elevation 92. So we put the cellar floor 1.5 feet above the edge of the wetland. So, I mean,
Cellar floor is at 93,
0.5, correct,
93.5.
So-
So they're not going below
the water table.
water table.
right, the house isn't going,
They're not
Right.
setting the foundation in the water table.
well,
below the
what I'm referring to is that additional fill on the property would raise the property level up to about 100-foot level. This would conceivably raise a groundwater contour for a little bit of mounding there. If there's any mounding, even inches worth, it would increase, it could increase, and this is where I was going to ask Robert to assess this during groundwater modeling. if it would increase the level in the isolated wetland, once we have high groundwater table, once we have saturated conditions, and in a week or two of rainfall. That would be the kind of level that might actually be, it would cause a level of groundwater that would be higher for the residents on Joel Ave, but would not necessarily affect the new proposed house, which is at an elevate, the bottom basement floor is an elevation 93.5. Our elevations for bottom floors on Joel Ave are probably lower than that. Robert also described that the general movement of groundwater in this area would be around the wetland and towards Joel Ave. This area is a kind of a subsurface soil.
You need to use the microphone. Excuse me, use the microphone, please.
I'm sorry. So, as Robert described just a moment ago, there is movement towards this area, towards Joel Avenue, because of the subsurface soils actually being a little bit, the contours are a little lower in this area. So it drains towards 11 and 13 Joel Ave in that area. So I don't know who the resident was that you spoke with on Joel Ave, but that's the concern that we might have on Joel Ave in that area. And we were hoping that Robert and the engineering firm would be able to assess some of this by adding additional fill in this area. Adding additional fill raises a hydrostatic head when we have saturated saturated ground conditions. That might raise the groundwater level just a little bit, and it does flow towards the wetland area, which might then increase the flooding or increase the groundwater level on properties on Joel Ave. And what we're hoping to do is to understand whether or not there might be a couple of few inches in there that this additional head would actually affect the groundwater level in the wetland and the water in the wetland area, where it might then affect Joel Ave. So if there's a possibility of doing that extra assessment, or maybe you already have it done, we just haven't seen it. I don't know.
Okay. Do you have anything else, sir? Good, thank you.
You want to address that, Rob, that
You have
additional
any?
fill on the surface would increase the
Well,
groundwater?
the additional fill on the surface does not, it's not something we look at from a standpoint of whether it's going to put pressure and raise the water table. It's not, just putting fill on the surface isn't going to push down on the water table and push it up over here. It's just not the way the water tables flow. The water table's following the contour of the land. If there's a water table here and it's flowing towards this house, that's just the water table. You get mounding if you put an excessive amount of water back into like a drainage basin. If we were doing a big drainage basin, we had 7 or 8 homes, I would do mounding calculations for that basin to see how much I'm mounding the water table under the basin, because I'm impacting it with water. And you're gonna get a mound, and we wanna see where the mound goes and if it spreads in a direction towards a neighbor or whatever. But we don't do that if we're not pushing water back on such a small amount. This is just a single-family house. Putting the house there and the fill there doesn't impact the water table. If we were in the water table with the house, we would be redirecting it and impacting it. So we'd be intercepting or taking storage capacity away from the water table area. You know, it's kind of like sticking a bucket in the pond, you're taking away flood storage of the pond, like filling it in. So if we were pushing this down into the water table, and I was taking away that ability for that water table to settle there, I might be pushing it up in other areas. But putting the dirt on the surface is not gonna force the water tables higher. It's just not correct.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Please identify yourself for the record.
Hi, I'm Mary Lee Mutry. I live at 2 Beaverbrook Lane. I'm directly across from where I believe that driveway is gonna be,
Right there?
and
Yeah.
that's my well.
And that's your well, okay.
That's my well. But I'm also here on behalf of my dad, who lives at 15 Joel Ave. And years ago, when Mr. Simeone built his house, there was dramatic flooding in the first two houses on the left on Joel Ave. Their backyards were basically a pond with ducks actually swimming in it. So those are my concerns, that I don't need to have that happening in my dad's backyard as well.
Who's Mr. Simone?
He's the man who built the house that.
This house
you-
that's here, the existing
Yes.
house? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which, just to add, I believe was either at the point when the Wetlands Protection Act came into effect or just before it.
Right.
So the Wetlands Protection Act, which is why they're coming, well, and the Wetlands Bylaw, why they're coming here tonight, all those rules and regulations weren't in place, or they had just begun. So just, if something
Right.
happened then, it's because we didn't have this.
Right.
Just to let you, I just
But I
wanted to
just don't
add
want
that.
the same thing kind of
Absolutely.
to happen, whether it be on Joel Ave
Wetlands.
or on Kennedy Lane.
Whatever is happening on Joel Ave happened before, and it sounds like it will continue to happen, but that's the way it was when it was put in there. So I don't see that this house construction would make any changes on whatever is happening on Joel Avenue. So go ahead. You have anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Mike Mutry. I'm Mary Lee's husband. You know, you mentioned that putting dirt on it isn't going to adversely affect the water table, but you're going to put a 70 by 36-foot foundation in there that's going to put tremendous amount of pressure in the area and redirect stuff. It's a 70-foot wide foundation in the back and in the front, and it comes out 36 feet total if you were to square it off. That's a huge foundation that is going to impact that area and is going to redirect and put pressure on the water and where it's going. Now, I know you said you have two drainage areas, but as somebody who's also experienced water in the basement with all these other folks in the area, after refinishing my basement, we got 3 inches of water. It does happen. That area does get saturated. And we're now talking about collecting more water and keeping it in the same area. I'm just very concerned that this is going to continue to affect our basements. I don't know, do you
Yeah,
have any?
I think we've had an explanation on this. I think, as he said, the basement elevation is 100.5, was it?
93.5.
93.5. So it's above the foot and a half above the water table. So I
Please.
understand, I hear what you're saying, but I think that what problems you're having on Joel Avenue probably won't change.
I'm not on Joel Ave.
You're on where? You're on
I'm on
across the
Beaverbrook
street?
Lane, the corner of Beaverbrook and Pemberton.
Okay.
And I'm actually raised higher than most of the houses in that area, and we still got 3 inches of water in my basement.
Yeah.
So when that area gets saturated, it affects all of us. The house across the street from us got it even worse than we did. But they're
Again,
lower
that's-
a little bit.
but these things are occurring with the lot existing as it is today, so.
That's right, without any new building in place that's going to affect that even more, which is what my concern is.
That, the engineer has indicated that should not be an issue, that their construction is such that they are staying above the water table. And so if there's any
Okay,
issues
so
in the
I have another
future.
question for you, because are you extending the services, water and sewage, to support this house?
Correct.
They are
Both water and sewage?
connecting water and sewer, yes.
Okay? But we're not going to pave the street.
There's nothing indicated that the street will be paved.
All right, so the other concern I have is we have traffic that flies down that road at night. And with that driveway coming in there, people coming in and out, it's going to potentially create a real issue for that
That's-
homeowner.
Okay, that's potential, it's something else, it's not a conservation issue. Traffic is not a conservation issue,
I apologize,
okay? So
excuse me.
there are other, you'll have to take that up with, as there are in many other streets in Walpole, people drive too fast.
Absolutely right, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Anyone else? Okay.
Let's keep it going.
Sorry, I have one other question. Elizabeth Reed, 6 Kennedy Lane. There's a lot of empty land there, and we're expecting problems with one house. Are more gonna be coming?
That's
the
not,
land
that's not
back there?
before, that's not before us this evening. No.
I think, I'll just to put them at ease, I think the gentleman who bought the land was gonna subdivide it to multiple lots, and I think when they ran into the wetland issue, they just did the 2 house, they just carved off the 1 lot. I do believe that was part of a plan at one point. I don't think it is today. I mean, he's already sold this lot, so he doesn't have all the land anymore. You know, the other lot's over here. He had, just over 2.5, he had about 2.5 acres of land, so he probably could have got 5 or 6 lots if he put a road in. And I just feel like that obviously didn't happen for some reason, unbeknownst to me, but I think the wetland area created a problem for him,
Okay,
just so you know.
Thank you for your...
Just putting that.
Can I just make one more comment?
one more comment?
Yeah, can I make one?
Yes, you may. Oh,
Hi, I'm Lisa Primavera. I live at 11 Joel Ave. I concur with everything that's been said regarding the basement and the water levels and have concerns about the increase to the water levels. One specific question I have is when I look at the plan here, there's a very large area of driveway. And we've talked about the fact that everything from this lot is going to be running down toward the wetlands and down toward Joel Avenue. How is that driveway going to be graded? And how are we going to prevent runoff from that driveway going down into the wetlands?
Well, it has to run across, if you want me to answer that, Mr.
go
Chairman.
ahead.
So it has to run across the lawn area before it gets to the wetlands in the front of the house. And it's actually a relatively small driveway, considering it's just it's 2-car wide at the garage, is typical with a turnout, and it's 1 car wide going out to the street. But there is you can see the grass swale that comes up, so this water can come down here and channel in this direction. And you're gonna get recharge into the lawn from the driveway because it's good soils and, it'll go back into the ground as it does today. So
Right.
it's not being directed right from the pavement to the wetland. It has to travel over 100 feet to get to that wetland area through vegetated area.
But it's not going to be the land contours similar to what it is now in terms of the vegetation and the trees. So the absorption into the land is going to be at a much different rate.
Correct.
And in a
There'll be
different
lawn area
area.
there, correct.
Okay. So again, it's just further concern of directing more water down into that area.
Okay,
So the flow path of the existing lot and the flow path of the proposed activity is
Same,
the same.
correct.
So the water will be the same. The flow path now is directed to the lowest area, which is the isolated wetlands. The constructed proposed house, the flow path will be the same. So the grassed area won't be treed, so it will fall from the sky, hit the grass, and it'll probably go into the ground faster, or it'll go over land. The roof will go into gutters, which will go into infiltration units, because we like clean water to go into the groundwater. So that's where that water will go, into the groundwater. So it shouldn't change.
It will change the speed of which the water moves throughout the property as compared to the way that the land is now.
So I also just wanted to make the comment that, so the Conservation Commission is bound by either the Wetlands Protection Act or the local wetlands bylaw, which is what this application has been filed under because of, it's an isolated wetlands, and the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act doesn't include wetlands, isolated wetlands, but the town wrote a bylaw and it does. So that's that. And with single-family houses, they don't have to meet a stormwater management plan, like a subdivision. If it was a subdivision, it would be road construction and houses, and they would have to meet the same rate of runoff that was previously done. So they do, and an engineer does calculations, existing conditions, proposed conditions, the rate of runoff has to be the same, and you'll have detention basins and all that. But with a single-family house, those requirements aren't in place. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The commission can only go by the rules that they've been given to go by. They don't, we can't protect any kind of wildlife on a lot like this. That's just general wildlife. So that's not part of what's in the bylaw or the regulations. The Conservation Commission and the bylaw protects the wetlands. But as you've heard tonight, they've spent a fair amount of time listening to other concerns, and we talked about the swale because everyone is aware that, when you put in new development, there may be some change in the surface flow pattern. It's usually the surface flow pattern. So I just wanted to explain that. Thank you.
Okay. Take a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is under the bylaw, so,
Yeah. So we
well,
wanna
we're gonna have,
relax.
we're gonna have plaques and a swale. You're gonna and revise the grading.
We'll get you that. Yeah, it's pretty quick. I'll get you that.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
And I guess I would just add to
Easy for
the,
John.
to the conditions to have any, erosion. to have
Please, go
erosion
outside if you want to
control
talk. Hey,
At the front of the lot, if you need something.
outside if you want to talk, please.
Yes, yeah. Construction entrance, is that what you mean? Yeah, construction entrance
Yeah,
and,
you're
erosion control can be, but, well, just if need be,
Yeah, I'll look at
Air.
construction.
Okay, sounds good, construction entrance.
All right, we got something to sign?
Yeah, just vote.
Oh. You got anything else to add on there?
I just didn't show it on here.
Oh, okay.
I can highlight it here, so you know.
Yeah, show it on
I
the,
just didn't highlight it on here, so I'll put it, I'll show it here.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna do it about like one.
That's a heck of a driveway.
okay.
Okay.
Someone make that a motion for the,
Second.
whatever we're doing. All in favor? Aye. 600.
We'll have to deal with that in the wintertime. Thank you.
This might go back in, if Landis made some marks on this, so put that back in that.
I'm just,
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. Plus I love trees, so.
Yeah, I know.
There's West Street on here,
Did you sign both copies this time, Betsy? Did you sign both copies this time?
I did.
Oh, okay.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, that rain was crazy. We only got an inch or so at my house, too.
Yeah,
We
I
didn't
got
get
an
in North Walpole.
Yeah. But in Needham, they
I
got
saw it on the
7 or
news.
8 inches, yeah.
They had some places flooded out, and
Yeah.
dumpsters were floating around, it was crazy.
Next,
How much did they get there?
7 or 8 inches.
just want to make sure you get the next
Oh,
one.
yeah, I hope so.
Proceed.
461 Lincoln Road, I guess. Now we're losing some people. Okay. Public hearing notice, Town of Walpole Conservation Commission, notice of intent in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent of Greg Corus of 461 Lincoln Road, Lot 4, Map 30, Lot 1, Walpole, Mass. To construct a single-family dwelling with driveway, utilities, and grading within the 100-foot buffer zone. Notice of intent application and plans are filed at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing. The matter will be held in person on August 9th, 2023, beginning 7:10 PM. All interested person requests to be present. Okay, what do we have here? Nothing here to read in. We don't have anything.
Sorry, what?
There's nothing here to read in. Very good here.
If there's nothing in the file, there's nothing.
Okay. Representing the applicant,
Mr. Chairman, my name is John Glossa, Glossa Engineering, 46 East Street in East Walpole, and I'm here representing Greg Corus, who is the owner of the lot and will be the builder building the house. This lot actually was in front of you before for a request for determination, but at that point, I was working for the New England Home for the Little Wanderers, and essentially my role there was to get the 5 lots, get approvals, Board of Health, Planning Board, Conservation Commission, so that any buyers would know that the lots were approved. Now, since Greg Corus, who's a local builder and has built a number of houses in Walpole, purchased it and took a look at the topography, the vegetation, where some physical parts of the subdivision had to go, of the lot had to go, the well and the septic system. He thought it would be better if the house actually was slid down the hill. So let me just back up. So just in case you don't know where this is, as you're going out Lincoln Road, you go past the Home for the Little Wanderers, and you would see now a house under construction on Lot 5, which would be here, and then this is the next lot. And when you look at this lot, you're looking down a fairly good-sized hill into the field area behind the wooded area, and that's along Lincoln Road. So anyway, after Mr. Corus looked at it, he came into my office and asked if we could slide the house back, obviously maintain the 25-foot no disturb area, and lengthen the driveway somewhat so that the driveway would not be as steep. So that's what we did. So you can see on the drawing, sort of in the pink, in the middle of the lot, that's the septic system. And you can see the driveway coming down from Lincoln Road. We are held to the location at Lincoln Road because Lincoln Road is a scenic road. We had to pick a spot, essentially, that would allow for the least amount of trees to come down and the least amount of a stone wall to be altered. And then in the brown is the house at the, kind of at the bottom of the slope. And so I think even from what you saw before, we flipped the house around the other way, so the driveway is on, or the garage is on the left side of the house, and the main part of the house to the right. This house is a walkout in the back. We also show, and it's in the back, it's kind of in that blue color. right here, that's infiltration chambers that will take 1 inch of the entire rooftop of the house and put that back into the ground. And then along the far side of the driveway here, we have an infiltration trench to handle 1 inch of rainfall from the paved driveway. Other than, sort of sliding the house back down and flipping the driveway from one side to the other at the bottom of the hill, so to speak, to lengthen the driveway, everything's pretty much the same that you saw before. And again, there's no sewer here, so this house is on a septic system. The soils here were very good. I think we had like 2 and 3 minute perk rates. And then Mr. Corus has decided, similar to Lot 5, that rather than dig into Lincoln Road and put a long water service in, he's going to put in a well. That's at the rear corner of the limit of work back here. So this is our limit of work, our erosion control encircling the work area. And I guess that's about it, so I guess I can answer any questions that you might have.
Landis?
My first comment would be, it looks like the site plan is kind of afterthought after all the details for the septic. So it was a little hard to read because it was so small off to the side of your details.
Well, because, I'm sorry, I mean, we could have made it's at 30 scale, so it makes it smaller. It's basically the septic system plan, so.
Yeah, it's just septic system plan. And my other comment, well, one, I forgot to write in my report, but the erosion control should be hooked up along the boundary of the property line going this way.
Here,
Unless he's doing that lot too, but it just kind of ends at the,
it ends here at at elevation 176.
oh, does it go up there? Oh, where
Yeah,
did I
it's hard
that?
to see, sorry
Yep,
about that.
It's hard to see. I see it now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
No-
no problem there.
You know what it is, the AutoCAD's in color, and so they see it, and then, the draftsman, I just have another situation.
My other comment was the roof infiltrator that you have kind of smack in the middle of the backyard there. Is there any way you could put it off to either side? I was just thinking often with these houses, they want to do something later on, a pool or a
pool.
patio, or this is or that's in their backyard, and you have the big, long infiltration unit in that area where someone would probably want to do something else. It's more of a practical comment.
Yeah. So what the draftsman's trying to do, because this is what I'm always telling them to do, he's trying to follow a contour line so that it can be placed shallow under the ground for its entire length. What I could do, it's a walkout, so we only need to be 10 feet from it, so I could, and this is going to be leveled off, so I could just run it that way. I think if there's going to be a pool, it's going to be more than 10 feet from the house. Or I could put it right at the very limit of work. You don't have to,
Yeah, that would probably be good. I would just suggest,
I think I'll put it at the limit of work. We're showing a,
removed, and we wouldn't want it to be damaged.
Yeah,
And the place
okay.
it is now is
Okay.
potential for,
yeah, I think the best place is probably right back here then. Okay, I can revise that for it.
Anything else? No. Dean?
Is there a brick wall around that driveway?
No, there was a wall, I think maybe on the plan you saw originally, but I don't think there's a
Oh, trench.
wall. There's no wall now.
It says infiltration trench. Is there a detail for that?
Yes. It is right here, Dean,
Driveway recharge details.
right
All right,
here,
cool.
yeah. And there's a calculation on there too, Dean.
Where's that gonna, oh, and it ends up with the roof drain?
it's essentially a trench filled with crushed stone that runs along the edge of the driveway, and, you know, the driveway is pitched slightly to that side so that the water has a place to get back into the ground.
Great.
It's, you know, sized for 1 inch. After that, the water's gonna come out and just run on the grass, so, you know,
Where's the water go for the rest of the road? Just off into
for
the,
the driveway, it's gonna follow the driveway and get into that trench, or in other places, it'll just run off into the grass. But the trench is designed for the whole driveway.
if that, you think, so, okay. All right, never mind, no more questions, thank you.
Bailey?
No questions.
Video?
All set.
Al?
I don't have any problems.
Okay. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments, please identify yourself for the record.
Hi guys, John Mostich. I asked a million questions last time. I've got one simple one, I think.
Identify yourself, please, for the
It's
record.
John Mostich, 460 Lincoln Road. The opening, is that at the top of the hill, the driveway, is that at the peak of that hill or just after it?
It's just after it.
So going away from Home for Little Wonders, it's kind of like starting down now.
Right, right. It's just, this is down, going down now, not, but like you said, just after the high point.
Okay. Beautiful job.
Thank you.
I can ask other questions.
No.
Anyone else? Okay, hearing none. Someone make a motion to close the hearing?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, it's 600. Okay. We're gonna redo that. He's got plaques shown on the drawing. Construction. So anything
No,
else
I
that we need to add?
The boilerplate usually just includes maintaining the, no alteration plaques, and then I'd stick in that the infiltration units and driveway trench shall be maintained, and that would be a continued condition as well.
Okay, so we make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, say 600.
And Landis,
Thank you.
it's just the rooftop, that was the only comment, that, and I'll get you a revised plan tomorrow, that was the only thing. Okay. All right, great, thank you.
Again. This is how John does it, positive attitude. You should write a book, John.
Pinnacle Drive. That's a familiar name.
What?
Pinnacle Drive, it's a familiar name. Okay, public hearing notice, Conservation Commission request for determination of applicability in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act and Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent of Lou Petrozzi, Wall Street Development Corp., 9 Pinnacle Drive, map 19, lot 183 in Walpole, Mass., to perform annual maintenance, including cutting and/or clearing of brush and other vegetation. Plans for this request for determination of applicability are on file at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing, the above matter will be held in person, August 9th, 2023, beginning 7:15 PM. All interested persons request to be present. Okay, do we have anything else here? No. Okay, representing the applicant,
Good evening, Lou Petrozzi for Wall Street Development Corp. Essentially, there's two parts to this request for determination. One is to provide a clearing so that we can essentially go in there and do testing and other work related to our project that's being proposed for the development of the parcel. So I had, in reading the regulations, I thought most of this work was permitted as incidental to the property, but Landis suggested I come before the commission to sort of discuss what we're planning. As you can see, this is the proposed development site along the pond. We have to test for stormwater management at each end of the site. And in addition to that, we need to do soil testing along the roadway for stability and ground, to just investigate the ground conditions that are there on the site. And I don't know if you've been on the property lately, but this, I don't know, a couple of years ago, we did cut it. The commission fined me for cutting it, but it really is overgrown with, I call it invasive species, but it's overgrown in this area here that it's practically impassable for us to get down there. So we would like to get the blessings of the commission to go in there and do what's necessary for testing on the property. And that's pretty much it. It's really very limited disturbance. It's just a series of test holes and some ground clearing, mowing, as they would call it. We'd be mowing. There wouldn't be any cutting of any trees or anything like that. It's just basically mowing down this overgrowth that's making the property impassable, basically. That's it.
Okay, Landis?
So the plan that you submitted with your request for determination was this plan,
Yes, you're right.
the area.
This is I didn't have that with me. I just had this in the car, so I
Your request is whether the area depicted on the plan and a map reference below is an area subject to the jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act. One item you're asking for determination, and the other is whether the work depicted on the plan reference below is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act.
Right.
And so on this plan, you phrase it as proposed pruning and brush cutting.
Yes.
I think in the determination, you refer to it as annual maintenance, cutting and/or clearing of brush and other vegetation.
Correct.
So
But
I guess, first of all, I would say it's not really clear what you want to do here. It looks like you want to prune and brush clear or cut clearing of brush and other vegetation
Right.
in this whole pink area.
Yes, and again, I don't know what the timing of everything, but since you had since sent me an email, and I had given you examples of the equipment and what was being used. But then, in addition to that, we need to get into the property and go a little bit further to do a couple of deep hole tests for our stormwater management. So that's why I brought this plan tonight, just to show you where we have to go. We have to go down to this area here, and we have to do some testing here, and then while we're there, we're gonna just do some testing to see what the soil conditions are along the proposed roadway. So I guess it's expanded beyond what was originally submitted.
Right, so when you submitted before, you indicated it was under 10.022B to G, activities that are temporary in nature for planning and design purposes.
Yeah, so
And what we discussed was
The brush.
my experience with the engineering practice is they cut a very narrow swath for an excavator, mini excavator to go in and pick a spot and excavate out and do a test bit and then go along the same path. And they may go to another area and do a test bit. And you submitted a drawing that showed 2 test bits. So I think that was the guidance at the time, that you were just going to those 2 areas
Well,
and just a path going to each area, and
Yeah.
that was acceptable practices.
Right, so is that I think I submitted this plan that's on the screen right now, right? Which is this plan right here, and I simply, all I'm simply adding into this equation is that we're gonna do some testing along the roadway, just along this area right in here, to see what the soil conditions are.
Well, what you've submitted is a rather large area of the lot that you are proposing pruning and brush cutting or clearing of other vegetation, and that's what you're asking for the determination. So,
Where did that, when did I submit that plan right there with the test pits? Isn't that part of, excuse me?
with a letter, yeah.
Oh, wasn't part of the same, I mean, it's been a while since I submitted it, so.
I didn't think so. I mean, this is
Yeah,
what
whichever-
was physically attached to the determination, as well as the description
Okay.
in the determination being annual maintenance, cutting and/or clearing of brush and other
Yeah,
vegetation.
well, we want to be able to walk in there and clear the brush, okay? So, as you probably know, this is all paved area in here, it's a parking lot. So we want to go in there and clear it down to the ground. It's mowable with that machine that I've give you a photograph of. So we want to do that, and then, we have to go in there and do testing. I mean, what can I tell you? We have to test for the soil conditions or the stormwater management.
So now I'm directing my comment to the commission. So if the applicant, if the area depicted on the plan is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act, I would say yes, it's buffer zone and it's riverfront area. That would be a positive, that it is an area depicted on the plan is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act. If the proposed work is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act, again, to me, I'm getting kind of mixed of what actually, if you go by the determination, it's the clear, the purple area. So that seems like that's beyond the temporary path to do tests for planning and design, that it doesn't really meet that exemption. That's what I wanted to
I
direct to the
think-
commission.
I think, can you clarify, Mr. Petrosi? What you've shown on here is an area, large area encircled in color. So you want to clear that whole area, is that correct?
When you say clear, we're not clearing, we're just brush cutting.
It says clearing on it. Brush clearing.
Brush clearing, which is, twigs, things under an inch diameter kind of stuff.
I think that the point is, there's one thing of getting to, as Landis described, to getting to an area where you want to do a test pit. You would make a path and do your test pit and go out. So it would not be a complete area. You're not going to do a test pit, you're not digging up this whole area for a test pit.
No, but we're gonna probably do sporadically along this area here. I mean, you folks know that you're gonna basically say, well, Jesus, what's in the soils? So we want to be able to come back and say, oh, well, we did testing on the site, and this is what we found. And so whether or not you want me to come back with another application, I will, it doesn't really matter, but we're here. My original intention was to come in here and clear this. Since then, we've had several meetings with the zoning board, and they've given us comments, and need to go in and determine for our stormwater management what the soil conditions are. You don't want to allow me to do that.
No, you are allowed to do it, but not to clear the whole area to get to a test pit. That's the point. If you want to clear the whole area, then tell us that's what you're going to do, and then file appropriately.
Well, I think.
If you're going to do test pits and you're going to move them down further towards the, what would it be, to the west, then show us how you're going to get there. You're going to dig a test pit, you're going to, however many you may have, and you're going to need a path that is, let's say, 10 feet wide to get your equipment in.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what you're going to do, is 10 feet, a path that's 10 feet wide to each test pit.
Okay.
as opposed to clearing the whole area.
It's not necessarily clearing, it's cutting,
Well,
it's cutting weeds and.
But you're
brush.
still talking about doing the whole area, whether it's weeds or whether it's trees or
It's always
whatever.
been my understanding, though, if the property was cut or previously cut, or me on the wrist or whatever.
Subject to fines, which we don't want to do.
Yeah, well,
When we can resolve this by just saying you're going to get to the various areas, you're going to do it for your test pit with a 10-foot, let's say, whatever width you need for that equipment.
right.
And I'm saying, I'm just picking 10 feet at this point, because it ought to be enough, maybe 12, depending on the size of the
I'm not the
equipment.
engineer. The engineer is gonna tell me where to dig, or where to dig. I'm not involved in that process,
So
okay?
then you can tell us, but then it would be a path to those spots, as opposed to, quote, clearing or removing what you would put in your category describing that needs to be cut or cleared. So, we can do it with this plan and just limit it to certain spots that'll be determined as necessary, as opposed to clearing the whole area. Or do we want a whole plan? Because that.
Well, we do
right
have to
now
get
you're
to the other
showing-
end.
Yeah, you need to revise your plan to show us that you want to get to the other end.
And more detailed in your description, because your description is cutting and clearing brush and other vegetation. So what do we know other vegetation is? That's a pretty wide swath, so I think you have to be more detailed about what you're
Have
talking
you-
about.
Okay, I'll take some photographs. Have you ever been down there lately?
Well,
It's just,
I
it's
have,
like a
but
jungle.
but to be frank with you, Lou, I've been to Burns Ave too,
Yeah, good,
okay?
yeah. It's
So,
about the same.
we don't want this to look like Burns Ave. So I think you need to be more detailed as to what this
Okay.
determination is for. Based on what you've submitted, it's like you're clearing the whole place. Other vegetation could be mature trees, as far as we know.
Okay.
Okay? So
That's
I don't
the
think, I think we need a revised plan
We're gonna go around the room.
Well, actually, we need a revised description.
and
Plan's gonna stay
a
the same.
description that you're going to get with whatever piece of equipment, that width of strip that you're going to need to get to those spots that you're going to need.
Okay.
So, you have anything else, Landis, you want to add?
That's it.
Dean, anything?
No.
Bailey?
No, nothing.
Media? Al?
I think you've made it pretty clear what you expect.
Betsy?
Yeah, two comments. I mean, you said that you really didn't know where the test pits were gonna be, you would need your engineer to do that. But usually we have an engineer come before us to present and show us where the test pits are. So the engineer really needs to do that. It shouldn't be just you saying there's gonna be some
Well-
test pits. And the second thing is, you said, okay, next time I'll bring some photos. But actually, I think what we're saying is, next time we need to see a plan showing where your engineer says the test pit should go, so that you can make your 10-foot path to them, not photographs.
I don't need an engineer to tell us where we're testing. We know where we have
You
to
said
test.
it, Lou. You said it. You said you need an engineer.
We're testing where the stormwater management facilities go, and we're testing along where the construction of the roadway is gonna go.
Lou,
Pretty
you
plain and
actually
simple.
said on television that you needed your engineer to show exactly where your test pits were, and I'm agreeing with you.
Okay,
Okay, so the engineer should put them on this plan?
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be a bunch of photographs.
yeah, okay.
Understand that you may have to change the location of a test pit, but it doesn't change how you get there.
I'm not saying it does, so all I'm saying is we need,
Thing that you need to do more test pits, that's understood.
I provided a photograph of the type of equipment we were gonna use. It's a minimal size.
So what,
And I
Width?
presumed, maybe it's 10 feet, I don't know, but I
Well, you
presume
checked-
that the email that I received back indicated that it was permitted, I was permitted to go forward and do this. Now you're telling me,
With a path for your machine.
well,
2 spots, right, 2 spots, mini excavator to that spot and back. That's not what this is.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
very different.
so.
Is it,
This is
So if
very
I want to, if I, just hypothetically, if I want to come back and I want to restore the paved area that's there as a parking lot that was there previously and still there, you'd be objectionable to that. Is that what you?
That wouldn't be a determination, Lou.
Okay, well,
Be a
you know,
determination.
we've,
This is a
I'm just bringing it out. I mean, that whole area, this whole area is a parking lot that has been there for 100 years.
Okay. Okay, that's that's
Okay.
not really.
So what do you want me to
we
do?
need is
You want me to come
revision
back?
to what you've got.
You want me to give you a
Okay.
description?
Yes, okay. Anyone in the audience have any
Well, it
questions or
should be a
comments?
description, it should be on, your engineer should put the proposed test pits on a
Okay.
plan, not a description or a photo.
I have test pits on the plan. That's where
Okay.
they're going.
Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments, please identify yourself for the record. Okay, hearing none. We'll continue this until, what's it, September something or other. September 13th, 7:10 PM. This is non-pinnacle. We'll make that a motion?
What time are you continuing to?
7:10.
7:10. Okay, thank you.
13th. I think I can make it. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
There are two other hearings ahead of you. Okay, someone make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
What do you say?
All in favor?
Aye.
600.
You might
Okay,
miss
we'll see you the 13th. West Street. Do we have a hearing?
Yep.
Anything to read in? Public hearing notice, Town of Walpole Conservation Commission, amended order of conditions in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given to Sal Corp. Landscaping and Construction Corp. to amend the approved order of conditions, DEP number 315-1203 at 350 West Street, Walpole, Mass., for the modification to the stormwater basin in front of the building, which is within the 100-foot buffer zone. Amended order conditions, application plans are on file at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing in the above matter will be held in person, August 9th, 2023, beginning 7:20 PM. All interested persons requested to be present. Okay. Representing the applicant?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Cameron Gray. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Sal Corporation.
Oh, I have some, this is for this one? Oh, yeah. I have some engineer comments, excuse me. Condensed view, verified basics of the report. Witness soil testing. I agree with soil assumptions, groundwater levels, provide a report. Current stormwater report utilizes rainfall depths, TP 40, which were acceptable when originally permitted. Current regulations require the use of depths from the Northeast Regional Climate Center, 7 inches increase to 8.9 inches on 100-year storm. While the current design pretty much contains runoff on site for the 100-year storm at 7 inches, it likely would discharge to West Street with the 8.9-inch runoff depth. If the board granted a waiver for this, I would not object, although an issue of equity lies in the balance. Note that even without the proposed drainage, the site has not been problematic. The plans agree with the drainage report and design, and details are well prepared. Did not object to any decision the board makes, however, given the lack of problems currently, the proposed design, if and when actually constructed, will serve well. This is the same letter? Yeah, okay. Okay. You want? Have you seen this?
From the town engineer, from Carl?
Yeah.
Yes, we received that earlier today.
Okay.
Makes sense too, yeah.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
So 350 West Street has an approved site plan, and an order of conditions was issued in July of 2019, and since then, it's been extended to October 2023. So the original site plan was prepared by Glossa Engineering, so I have his site plan up here, so that way everyone can see. So this site is located on the southern side of West Street, directly across from the LaRusso pits. This site plan, it shows the above-ground stormwater infiltration basin in the front of the lot in that grass area. So that's what I have shaded red out front there. And then the yellow line I have highlighted is the 100-foot buffer. So you can see that on this site plan, the basin is entirely within the 100-foot buffer zone. So we're proposing to, this is our proposed plan, we're proposing to move the basin to the eastern corner of the property. So if you're looking at it from the road, it'll be located to the left. And that catches a portion from that trench drain. So currently on the site right now, there's a depression there, and the trench drain just drains into it. So we're proposing essentially to just expand that depression into above-ground infiltration basin.
Want to show us where you're talking about on the plan, please?
Yep. So again, just to show you.
Use the-
Wow, but
use the
microphone.
microphone.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So what I have shaded in red is our proposed basin, and again, this is our 100-foot buffer line. So it's hard to see it, but the existing conditions, there's a depression right here. So you just, it's lined with riprap, and this trench drain right here currently drains into it. So we are proposing to expand that depression into the above-ground infiltration basin. And by doing that, we're pulling essentially almost the whole basin out of that 100-foot buffer zone that was originally proposed on the first site plan. So only a small portion of this basin will be within that buffer zone. So we're going to be roughly 86 feet from the wetlands, and this basin's been designed to handle up to the 100-year storm. I think that's really it in terms of changes within the buffer zone.
Okay. Landis?
So this project was permitted under the Wetlands Protection Act bylaw as well as the Stormwater Erosion Control bylaw land disturbance permit because it was 40,000 feet or more.
Okay.
So originally, the stormwater design, and you don't have the original plan, right? So
Yep.
it showed infiltrators on both sides of the property line,
Yep, yeah, in the rear part.
one which was not built.
So he didn't, if we're looking at the original site plan, so these basins in the back have not been constructed, as well as this basin out front, but this basin here underneath the parking lot is constructed.
So based on the original plan, you don't have you have less stormwater BMPs than for the new design, and as well, the, the stormwater erosion control bylaw and the wetlands protection bylaw was revised to include the rainfall data, which increased, and that's one of Carl's comments.
Yeah, so,
Rainfall data increased what we now design storage systems for, and you don't have as much storage as you did before, so can you justify the current design?
So when I first designed this, not aware that the bylaws had changed, I took Glossa's engineering, we have his stormwater report and all that, so I just mirrored it. And when I ran it through HydroCAD and everything, I actually came up with a lower runoff in terms of volume. And then, but yeah, so I used the old rainfall data, so I could run it through HydroCAD again and design for that new 100-year storm to ensure that it's not increasing the offsite runoff or anything like that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Carl and I talked about this, and, you know, we're both kind of on the fence because of the area it's in. It's not in a residential area. It's not an area where if the system couldn't handle the stormwater, it would be a major problem, other than going out onto the roadway and going across the street to the pond.
Yep.
But I think you need to justify it a little bit more, since you have less stormwater BMPs and the rainfall has increased. So I think it's, you know, maybe running the numbers with the higher rainfall data.
Okay.
You know, you have enough stories that it's not gonna be a major problem.
Yeah, so we can run it with the higher rainfall data and just, so that way we'll resubmit it and just show that everything's in conformance.
I think that would be preferable. I think that was the main comments.
Yeah, so when I received that comment from Carl, I ran the numbers, and for the pond out front where we're proposing this work, or well, the alteration, that pond is still able to handle that larger rainfall. So out back, though, we would need to mess with it a little bit more.
Yeah, because I think the original plan had it graded so it split the watersheds.
Yeah.
So that half goes into one side and half went to the other side, but now you have it all going onto one.
Yeah, so like, when we went out there and did the existing conditions now, he kind of does have everything pitched over to that side. So I chose that low area for the back drainage and just kind of have everything going in there.
So, you know, if you can, I know our next meeting is until September 13th, so it would be continued to that.
Okay.
Commission has any other comments?
Dean?
No questions.
Haley?
No questions.
Media? Al?
No.
Betsy? Okay, so you're going to use the revised rainfall in your calculation, see, and make whatever changes would be necessary from that.
Okay.
Okay, anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Please identify yourself for the record. Hearing none, so I want to make a motion to close the hearing. So moved.
Second.
No, continue.
Oh, we're going to continue, excuse me. To
9:13.
continue the hearing until September 13th, I believe it is.
Yep.
At
7:15.
7:15, that's what we have, we have at 10.
It's on the reverse of this, yeah.
We'll do with it.
You want this, you want this?
No, we filled one in, right? I got one. We filled this one in. 7:15, yeah. September 13th, 7:15. So make that a motion?
Don't move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is 350 West Street. Public hearing notice Town of Walpole Conservation Commission amended order of conditions in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act. Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw notice hereby given the intent David and Shannon Recco to amend the approved order of conditions DEP number 315-1291 at 9 Musket Lane, Walpole, Mass. For the modification to allow the addition of a lower patio and retaining wall, which is within the 100-foot buffer zone. Amended order of conditions, application and plans are filed at the Conservation Commission office. The public hearing on the above matter will be held in person August 9th, 2023, beginning 7:25 PM. All interested person request to be present. Let's see, do we have anything here?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Okay. Representing the applicant?
Good evening, Driver, Landscape, representing Recco's at 9 Musket Lane. So on this particular plan, what we're asking to amend is, like you had mentioned, in the back area, we're proposing to put a retaining wall on the outside border to maintain the area of fill that we're going to put in for kids to play zone on the backside, and then as well on the lower side of the house where it comes off the patio that we proposed previously, staircase that goes to a lower zone patio that goes into the walkout basement. Those are the two changes that we have.
Okay. Lance?
I don't have any additional comments, so you have a detail of the wall. Oh, yeah, you have a detail on the wall. And you're just putting in the wall so they have more flatter space in the back. One before was a gradual grade, so, no any comments. It should be the same with the plaques and everything still going on there, out there.
Okay. Dean?
Yeah, no questions.
No questions.
Video? Al?
Which, I look at this red line on the map here, and I don't know which side you're going to fill and which side is going to stay the same. What's the purpose of the wall?
The purpose of the wall is so the backside currently slopes on the far backside. So we're bringing that wall in so they can bring in some material for a flatter space so they can have a zone for the kids to play.
But on the plan here, is the side that you're going to put the additional fill on the right or the left?
If you're,
Point to, walk up to the plan, Paul. Point where the wall is and
so
where.
here's the wall, obviously.
Yeah.
Filling this side of the wall.
That's going to be raised up? Okay. Okay. And it's going to be raised up by how much?
The proposed wall is about 2.5, 3 feet tall.
Okay.
When you press the button, you're muting yourself.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Let's start over.
Good to know.
I guess I
I wish it
From the
said,
top.
I wish it said mute. It just says push.
Fantastic.
Russ usually does this for me.
No.
You in the audience have any questions, comments, please identify yourself for the record. Hearing none, take a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
600.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just get an idea of who's still waiting after this long hearing is, I know 24 Heather is here, and are you here for? Okay, all right, fine. So Chairman, I was just going to ask if the Heather Lane, 24 Heather Lane, is a request for a certificate of compliance for an older Board of Conditions 315598. And I did go out and take a look at the site, look at the plan, and everything has been completed according to the order of conditions. They're looking to sell the property, so I'm recommending issuing a COC.
Yeah, which one is this?
24 Heather Lane. It's at the end
Heather
of
Lane,
our
okay.
request for
Okay.
extension.
So it's,
It was a construction of an addition to an existing dwelling.
everything's okay?
Everything's okay.
We'll make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
600.
Okay. Good to go.
Congrats.
Yes, I was actually out there. So it's my first home that I bought in Walpole, and my first home that I'm selling. So now I can retire, thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Jealous. We'll be here.
We'll be here.
And just the remaining people waiting in the audience, so we can hopefully let them go home, is there's a request for a certificate of compliance for DP 315-1148 for Pennington Crossing, which is off of East Street, the area which used to be the Walpole woodworkers, for those who remember the permitting of that.
Is this everything on that for Pennington Crossing?
I'm sorry,
Everything?
what?
Is this everything at Pennington Crossing?
It's for the COC for, yeah, the whole development.
So everything's all squared away now?
Well, there's a couple items that probably need to be discussed.
I'd like to make comments on
The town engineer has submitted this comment.
Okay, this is from town engineer. Two concerns related to Pennington drainage Concom approval. Basin 3 had been noted in prior review to be slow draining and contaminated with sediment. Had recommended the basin bottom be removed to clean native soil and the bottom treatment reinstalled. Further question whether fabric below the stone was a good design as it could retain sediment and slow infiltration. We're not aware that the removal or reinstallation of the bottom material ever occurred. And number two, residents have noted that during the recent wet spring summer, the parking garage for buildings 3 and 4 had groundwater seeping in. To ensure preventing this, I recommend the foundation under drains be recovered and verified that they are freely discharging to verify their operation. They may need to be televised to verify they are clear. If not, they need to be repaired. Are you aware of this? Do you have this letter? Go up, yeah.
No.
Do we have a copy?
Mike Rosati from Chandra Associates. I'm Pulte's site engineer for the construction of the project. I was not made aware of any problem with the building 3 and 4, but if Pulte is aware of it, I can follow up with that tomorrow. I think as far as Basin 3 was concerned, I believe the contractor did remove sediment, but there could have been sediment in these recent rains that has washed in there with the volume and intensity that we've been experiencing recently. So if you think I should have that done, I can put that into motion. The last I saw of it, it was draining properly, but
I think we need to verify that the work that was supposed to be done, that was done, because I know this was an issue a month or two back with some serious concerns from conservation as well as some other departments in town about some things that need to be finished in order to clear certificates of compliance, et cetera. So particularly from certificate of compliance with with conservation. And I would have thought at that time, because of what was indicated to us, to conservation, that someone would have wanted that verified and had us out to check that the work that was supposed to be done was actually done. So, yes, I think it needs to be verified.
Okay,
And then the other issue with this groundwater issue in the garage that you'll have to take up. So I think we should hold off on a certificate of compliance until this is, these issues are verified.
okay, so I don't know on Basin 3, I think the last time we talked about it, I know what you're talking about. The contractor went in and did that work and didn't notify myself or Pulte that they had done it. But I think they certified that they did do that, but that's not adequate. Is that what
So
you're
did
telling?
they go in and they removed the stone that's in the basin and checked the liner?
That's what I was told. They went down to the liner and they cleaned off and replaced the liner and put clean stone back in.
But you don't have any verification from the contractor that he did it?
He just, no, I don't have any of that.
I guess,
I would just think that with this being a major issue, that there would have been some means, direction to the contractor, or somehow, because you're not aware of it, that he did it.
I was aware that it was an issue that Landis wanted it cleaned out. They were instructed to do that. They did not notify us when they were doing that, so I didn't get to see it to verify it. So I reported back to Landis that that's what they told me they did. And it seemed like the pond was functioning the way it should. So
Okay.
I took them
We
at
just
their
want
word.
verification.
It's not I don't know how I could verify it at this point, so.
I guess if you get a letter from the contractor that certifies that he did this, and take a look and see if it looks like it was done.
And I believe that's what we did. That's how we handled that. I've been on the site after rainstorms to determine whether it's functioning the way it should, and we concluded that it was. So I assume that he did do what he was supposed to do.
Well, I think-
and I can attest to that. So I did go out to the basin before I came to my meeting tonight to just see how it handled a lot of the rain that we got. And there was still a little water in it, but there wasn't a lot of water in it. So it was definitely draining down, and that was the water that we got yesterday. I do have a letter saying the drainage system was inspected and cleaned. And I got a email saying that the pipe was, we wanted the pipe videoed that went across from the stream, and that was all good. That's all fine. The signs are up. The only thing that I wasn't sure is if that the basin was just like vacuumed out, was just cleaned, or if the actual material and liner was taken out and
I was told that a skid steer went in, small skid steer backhoe, and scraped all the stone out,
Yeah,
replaced the fabric, and put stone back. That's what I was told.
right. So that wasn't conveyed to the town engineer either, that had specifically happened, so.
Question.
Yep.
Did they submit, do you mind if I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Did they submit an invoice for that work?
I believe so. I don't know if it's part of his contract or not, but do you have Khan's letter there, Landis?
Oh, the money.
Is that,
Yes, so I have a letter from George Carnes and Son, is that what you're
That's the
referring to?
person who
Okay,
would've
right.
done the
Dear Mr. Endel, please receive this letter, certification, and prior to our final departure from the above-mentioned project site, George R. Carnes and Son performed a thorough inspection and cleaning of the entire stormwater drainage on site between May 2nd and May 11th. George Carnes and Son removed all silt sacks and casting from the drainage system structures for adjustment for final top coat paving at Building 4. At this time, all catch basins and drainage manholes were inspected. Each structure was pumped down if stormwater was present and cleaned thoroughly. Each influent and effluent pipe run was also virtually inspected and flush cleaned with water. The structures that were inspected in the construction vicinity of Building 4 included DMH6, DHM6A, CB6A, 6B, 7A, 7, a variety of different DMHs that I'm not going to read all of, and both Nioplast manholes from the roof drainage system. Additionally, re-inspected and cleaning took place at catch basins near Building 2 and 3, as some work had taken place in the vicinity during the closeout phase of Building 4. Those additional structures included catch basin 3A, 3B, 4A, and 5A. So, didn't specifically address the cleaning out of Basin 3.
So I would need to get something from them to,
Be helpful.
okay, great.
Okay, I have a,
Shall we go around in order?
Yeah,
Dean,
do
you said
you have
you-
anything else, Landis?
Why don't you go around, I'll just review everything.
Dean, anything?
No, thank you, ask my question.
No questions.
Medium? Al?
okay. It sounds like you're saying that the construction process is stopped on this project. That It's ended.
It's
And
complete.
I want to know,
I'm sorry, Al, I don't mean to be a stickler, but since you're a butter, would you make your, maybe just state that you're in a butter and you're making
Okay, I'm in a
comments based
butter.
on being in a
I'm-
butter?
I live in a house on the other side of the main wetland, and most mornings, sometimes as early as 7 o'clock, I'm waked up by my house shaking because something's going on over there that started when construction began, and it sounds like you're banging on some big iron structure, and it shakes the land in my house every day, almost every day, usually not on Sunday, and it starts sometimes around 7. I don't know how the people who live there enjoy that noise, but I'd like to know what that's all about.
I have no idea. I don't,
No, it's in the early morning.
the contractor has left the site. There is no site work going on the site. It's 100% complete. I don't know if it's coming, I don't know. I have no knowledge. Maybe the residents could enlighten me on that.
During,
Listen, get up to the microphone.
I'm Paul
please.
Reston. I'm the owner, as is Kathy with me tonight. We're both on the Board of Directors, Board of Trustees for the condominium. I'm the president. So during construction, definitely. But, I mean, recently, it's not coming from my condo, I can assure you that. The only thing you hear from mine is maybe my dog barking now and then. But I don't think there's anything from our site that I can hear that would impact that currently. During construction, absolutely, but not now. So,
Well, it's the same noise that was all during construction.
yeah.
And it's rather annoying being waked up every morning by this noise.
Yeah,
And as I say, it shakes my house.
yeah, yeah.
It's not the train going through, huh?
No, it has nothing
Not the
to do
train.
with the
Okay.
train.
You know what is going on, Al? And they are starting early, and it is very noisy, is there has been construction at the new middle school.
No, this has nothing to do with the middle school.
That, I hear that, and it has, in some days, it has been very noisy, and they start early.
Yeah, they start before 8 o'clock. You know.
Okay, just, let's toss that out.
No, it's coming from that site because it's the same noise. It's as if there's a big, huge iron box or bin they're dumping concrete or something into. Maybe it's a trash company or something.
It wouldn't be the garage doors opening and closing, would it be?
I mean,
Let's get a vibration monitor set up.
yeah, I would maybe suggest you figure out where it's coming from, but it's not the garage doors. I mean,
No.
there is recycling trash containers that are on site that are picked up, I don't know, once a week maybe, early in the morning. But, and there's one large dumpster in front of Building 4 that's still there. That's probably, and that's for people's moving material boxes. That's picked up once a week, potentially. Those things would make some noise, but they've been off-site, the contractor's been off-site since
A couple of months
a
now.
couple months, so, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe go over there
Anything
and
else,
see.
Al, as an abutter, you want to comment?
Well, I guess the comment I have to make, conservation-wise, is that even with all this rain, I haven't noticed any problem with increased water in the pond in my backyard. It's been pretty much stable like it should be with this amount of rain. I haven't seen any flooding coming from over there, so that means that the system must be working at least somewhat. It's not disastrous, so I think that they've done a decent job with handling the stormwater and the potentials there. I don't know what's going to happen with this noise. This is strange.
Okay.
During the construction process, I expected these kinds of things, and having done construction myself over the years, I know there's some noises that are unavoidable, but to have it continue after you say the contractor has left, so there must be something, some big trash bins that get emptied early in the morning, and they shake them or bang them on the ground or something. But I don't think that's necessary.
Maybe walk over there early in the morning, see what's going on.
Take a really early morning walk. on
Let's set up a
Saturday.
camera.
Well,
Okay, all right, let's move on.
You're probably up at 5, right?
Okay,
I am.
anything else?
no,
Okay. All right, so we're going to need
Did the
a
abutters
letter.
have a comment?
You have anything else you wanted to add?
No, yeah, and I'm on the Board of Trustees as well. Our comments surrounded really the fact that from a drainage perspective, you know, we've just inherited the board, basically, Kathy, I, and others. It's been a developer-controlled board until April, so we're new to the board. The O&M plan is new to us. It's a comprehensive plan, 28 pages, but also a really concern and comment centered around buildings 3 and 4, which the town engineer, I believe, Landis, he had mentioned there's a letter about the infiltration of water into building 3 specifically recently, and the source of that, and is that a drainage issue or not? And that's our comment about that. So we're not convinced that the drainage is working properly because of that fact. That's
Right, I think his suggestion was to verify that the foundation drains were working as designed.
So I understand the problem, because this is the first I heard of it.
Okay.
We're getting water in the garages
Yeah, so
from,
Building 3, primarily, Building 4 is a newer building.
from at the seam where the wall hits the floor, is that where it's coming in?
That's where it seems to be coming in.
Okay. Oh, that'd be great. I can look at them on the way out. That'd be awesome. Yeah, so I'll follow through with Pulte on that and see what they have for a game plan on that, and see if we can't get to the bottom of it.
Okay. Good, then we'll put this on the agenda for our next meeting, September, is it 13th?
Yep.
September 13th. And I think it's also from the homeowners association standpoint that you'd want this clarified before you wind up with the responsibility for maintaining the site. So.
Yes, thank you.
So good. And, yes.
Could I just make a request to the board? So Pulte has a little bit of a dilemma. Building 4 has been completed, and they're looking to get occupancy so that people can move into their home. It's not in the order of conditions, and it's not in the planning board's approval of the project, but the building commission is not, well, has taken the tack that they're not going to issue a certificate of occupancy for that building until you people are satisfied. Is there some way that Pulte can get people moved in without having the certificate of compliance from the board? I'm not sure if I'm asking too much or.
I think, from our standpoint, you're working with us to resolve this issue. And I guess it's up to, we can make a comment to the, is it the building inspector that issues the certificate for occupancy?
I get the impression he doesn't want to step on anybody's toes relative to doing something that may.
Well, I think we can speak with him and tell him that we're satisfied that you are working to resolve the issue, and then it's up to him. But that we are satisfied with your response, and that we expect to hear at our next meeting, and that we're not asking for any delay in issuing occupancy permits.
I think that would go a long way. It might, I think,
we
anyway.
You can check with, was it with Jim Crowley?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can check with him.
He's the one that makes the decisions on that, so.
Okay.
We can I will certainly convey to him that what the chair just said, how the commission feels.
Okay.
It's under his control.
Appreciate it. And I'll get to the bottom of this.
Thank you.
Thanks.
If you could just let us know what you find, so we know that this is, whatever you're finding, instead of waiting till September 13th, you
that
can
would be
keep in
helpful.
touch with
All right.
us of what's going on each issue.
Very good.
How it's proceeding or whatever, just so and that can be also very helpful in talking with the building inspector.
Yeah, if you can get that verification, an invoice or whatever, that the contractor took the material out and replaced it, I know that would go a long way with the town engineer, so that would, because it's him as well, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
We'll be listening.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna send him a copy of this letter?
Yes.
Okay. All right, what else have we got to,
So we have 5 Cardinal Lane, request for a certificate of compliance. That was, again, a backyard patio setup that was done and completed under 315-1260. So I'm recommending issuing a certificate of compliance for that.
okay, so I'm making a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
600.
Then the BH Brightview New Pond Village LLC, 170, 180 Main Street. This is a request for an extension under 315-1199 that they need an extension for their order of conditions. Or something.
Is
So
that
I
New
figured
Pond
out-
Village? How long do we extend now?
So I figured it out, it's based on the tolling,
Based on what?
it's based on the COVID tolling extension dates. How do I do it? Did it put the file on?
That's your mistake. You gotta eat before you come.
What's the book?
Oh, it's just a novel that I got from the library. Yeah.
So,
Family excitement.
based on the formula for the tolling, because during COVID, the permit stopped and then it gets picked up again, that it would be to September 24th, 2024.
So a year, okay, a year from September.
So
Someone make that a motion, to September 24th, 2024. All in favor?
Aye.
600.
All right, great.
You're gonna have to make a few more trips, Steve.
Keep that blood flowing, Jack. Keep my eyes open.
Okay, where are we again? Okay, so Portland Way, I didn't get a chance to go out there and review those plaques and everything, and I don't think he's in a big hurry, so I just keep that on the agenda. We'll put it on the agenda for September 13th.
This
That
is-
also Pine Acres. This is-
Portland Way,
Yeah, this
Pine
is-
Acres.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, so if you could, we're just gonna hold on to those two.
Okay.
The next one is 32 Christina Way. So this is 32 Christina Way, that's the farm view, open space plan out off of Bullard Street. So the order is for the whole subdivision. It's a really old subdivision,
that's-
and they
that's-
never issued certificate of compliance. If the commission feels comfortable, I mean, everything seems to be okay out there, that if the commission issues a full certificate of compliance for 315374, then it would cover any other of the lots there that had to sell. They wouldn't have to come in for a partial certificate.
It seems to me the only issue that I recall was something to do with the retention basin, which was down towards the railroad track, I think.
It seems to be functioning properly. I've never really had much, there's never been like issues during any of the heavy rains that we've had with either of those basins. There's one that's absolutely humongous, and then there's another one, and they're, you know, seem to be functioning properly.
We had a consultant involved,
Yeah.
with the outside party, third party,
Yeah.
to do something with that.
I don't know, there doesn't seem to be any neighborhood association or any party that would do anything for the,
Okay, so,
So no one sold the house in 30 years there? or-
no, they have. So the last one was 16 Christina, and they had to get a partial certificate of compliance
Oh, yeah.
under this order of conditions also, and now it's
Yeah,
32.
so,
So
all
might as well
right, why
just
don't
do
we
it all.
Yeah.
make it order of conditions for the whole?
Okay, so a full order of
Yeah.
conditions for 315374.
If there was anything that's gonna happen, we should have heard about it by now.
I think so. I think it's pretty safe.
Why are there so many OOCs now? It's so weird.
They come in waves.
People are selling their houses,
So somebody
maybe.
make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So
One more piece of paper to
covers
sign.
all of the certificates and the extensions. Oh, yeah. Lou's supposed to come back, by the way, for his discussion.
Who was?
Yep.
On what?
Discussion at this hour?
Under general business discussion with Wall Street Development on the order of conditions for 15 Pinnacle.
Must not be in
Not
the
back yet, huh?
Oh, then he's probably watching us on his phone and he'll come in.
He said he had to go out, and then he would.
Lou, come back. okay?
No.
Blammo.
Where is the discussion? Okay, there's been some correspondence while we're waiting for him to come back. Had some correspondence on 15 Pinnacle.
Right, so there was a correspondence from Wall Street Development, July 5th, request regarding the order of conditions change, which is what he wants to discuss. Then there was one that he did provide the landscape plan for the rear grading.
Okay.
Right, and he did provide, that Paul McManus is a LSP that would be on site during construction.
Oh, yeah, LSP, yeah.
But I'm waiting for a confirmation of when Mr. McManus was on the site to watch the excavation. And I sent an email to Mr. McManus in Luke, Jersey, and got back that Paul McManus is on vacation from 8/7 to 8/11. So I'm assuming he wasn't on site during that period. And got an email from Wall Street Development that he was there on August 1st. But
So we need.
that wasn't during all the construction.
It's being constructed, though?
There's a big hole, yes, it's been excavated, yes. So, and there was a pipe that was uncovered, that I also sent an email to Mr. Jersey today, that the pipe should be reviewed because it's potentially material that needs
PACM.
special care.
PACM.
Not just a piece of pipe, but like a whole, like a.
A whole length of pipe.
Whole length of
Did they
section.
report
of
anything
pipe.
else in there?
What?
Did the neighbors report anything else in there?
I didn't see anything specific, but I would like a report, or, I wasn't there during the whole construction, during the whole excavation, and LSP was supposed to be there during the whole excavation, but as far
How's
as
the
I
hole
can
look?
tell, all I know is he was there on August 1st, but.
Did you smell the hole? Did it have a smell?
Okay, let's proceed on to see if
So that
Luke
was that
comes back.
correspondence. Then there's correspondence, he recorded the order. There's a correspondence from Eversource that there's a notice of utility activity for line 389, just structure placement. Eversource submitted their 5-year action plan, which is for vegetative management. It's usually pretty much the same. The fall town meeting warrant opened and will close on August 22nd.
Do we need anything on, we had something, I thought, for capital
We
budget?
have capital budget for Memorial Clarkson Turner Pond
Okay,
for that, and that should go forward.
so nothing's come up on that. We put in our request for that.
Yep, and,
Okay.
it was, town administrator acknowledged that he was fine with that, and today we got a list of when we need to go before the FinCom. I didn't review that yet, but usually there's a
Okay.
time where I go and just, if they have questions, I answer
Okay.
them.
And town meeting, there's nothing we need to do for town meeting.
Other than, we don't have anything specific item other than the capital budget.
Yeah, well, and that, we don't need anything more for North Street.
We didn't put anything new
Yeah,
for North
okay.
Street yet, so.
Okay. All right, minutes, we don't have any minutes yet, right? Okay. Nothing new with North Street either way. Pinnacle Trail, master plan update, is there anything,
They finished it.
okay?
We need to have one more meeting to wrap it up. We're just waiting on that.
Okay.
It'll probably be presented at the fall meeting. Fall town meeting.
Fall town meeting
Yeah.
will be full presentation of the master plan?
Hoping.
Is that the plan?
I hope so.
Okay. What else we got here? Anything new on enforcement orders?
Nope.
Everything's okay under that category?
The veterinary clinic looks great.
Yep.
Oh, question. Excellent. Oh, I don't know if I should ask this, never mind. Oh, wait.
What looks good?
The veterinary clinic
Oh,
on Main
oh,
Street.
Oh, good.
They got a real fence. Did you see it, Landis?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, nice fence.
Okay.
Yeah.
I drive by there a lot.
The guy, Gary, who owns the lot 30 off of Gigi's Way is the one who did that. Good guy.
Oh,
Not Freiberger. Nope. Gary. That's his last, that's the company's last name. Alan Gary, thank you. Garry.
so we can take that off, right? Or does that have to?
Usually wait for at least
Oh,
one growing season
oh,
just to
that's
make
right.
sure everything's fine, but
Good point, good point. That's right.
Okay. Anything else then?
Yes.
Bless you.
I think Stephanie wants to say something.
Thank you.
Oh.
So, it's been a real pleasure.
No. No, Landis.
This has nothing to do with me.
Why'd you let her go?
No, this, you know, I'm taking an opportunity to really further my growth and experience in municipal government. And so this will be my last, meeting
So
with you guys.
soon.
But it's really been a pleasure working with you. I've learned a ton. I've had such a great relationship with Landis, and I've learned a lot. So I just want to thank you all.
Thank you.
Where are you going? Oh, you can't say it. Don't say it on TV.
No, I am. I'm staying with Walpole, so I'm still here. You can come visit me.
What department are you going to?
I'm gonna be in purchasing. I'll be in the selectman's office.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Come say hi if you're ever in town hall and visiting
Hmm.
or looking at plans,
Purchasing.
but.
Good luck.
Yeah, but like I said, I really enjoyed working with all of you, and it's been nice getting to know you all.
We can't do both.
I mean, this is late night work.
Right?
So
It's totally different
just-
hours, different hours.
I mean, finish your, that's what we do.
Yeah,
Yeah, what's a kid?
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, very
Good luck.
good.
Great.
Good luck.
That's really great.
Yes.
Thank you for everything, all you've
Of
done.
course. Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
your
you.
comments. So, and your skills at manipulating the screens around for.
Can you put that on the resume, Landis, for the
I
next
know,
one?
we can't, I don't know if we can, I don't know if we can
duplicate
do it.
I'm saying, put on the resume, be like,
Yeah.
must be able
Must
to
be able to.
use.
Yeah.
Zoom.
She's raised the bar too high.
If there's one thing that did come out of COVID, that there are a lot of people that are now experienced at meeting presentation, and so hopefully that's a trait that the next person can come along with. And,
Not hopeful, mandatory.
yeah.
And having all the things on PDF on the website, I know you're doing that, so let's keep that going.
Okay, I guess
Who's Mrs.
we should
Window?
make, we should make a note that we did hold a brief discussion, and we were waiting for comments from Mr. Petrosi on the, whatever was that, on the 15 Pinnacle, but he didn't make it back to the meeting, so someone going to make a motion to close the hearing? Are you ready outside? Are you ready for us?
I just seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
You off?
Have a good night, folks.
All right, bye.
See,
Good night. Thanks, guys, staff.